Chapter 4588. No, we haven't talked about it yet. You haven't? What do you mean? Lady Sue felt that there was a hidden meaning in her son's words. It's just that I haven't caught up to her yet. When I do, I'll bring her home for you to see. Could it be another female artist from your company in the entertainment industry? Lady Sue was a little worried. No, definitely not, Sue denied firmly. Then, Mom, I'm really not joking this time. I'm serious. If she agrees, I want to get married and have children. Life is short. I want to have fun while I can. You finally thought it through. Lady Sue was overjoyed to hear her son say this. In the past, no matter who said it, it was useless. Lady Sue had always felt that her son didn't believe in marriage and was still far from getting married and having children. Now that he suddenly said this, Lady Sue immediately saw hope. Okay, let's not talk about it anymore. Mom, I'm a little sleepy. See you tomorrow. Alright? I want to eat your wontons. It's stuffed with 3 delicacies, right? Lady Sue smiled gently. Yes. You have to prepare more of my favorite food. I must have a big meal. Okay. Mom will definitely prepare it. Rest well. After hanging up the phone, Sue felt sleepy and he slowly fell asleep. This time, what he was having was indeed a dream. Because the people in the dream couldn't see him or communicate with him. It was as if he was watching a movie alone, replaying the scenes one by one. Master Wu gathered everyone together and said that after they entered the dream, there were still some things that needed to be done. They needed to do a ritual to get rid of some bad luck. He even brought everyone to Jiangnan town, which was where the Su family lived in seclusion. At that time, Lord Su was already retired. He played chess and drank tea every day, but the Su family never forgot about Suyu. Master Wu used some unknown method to make everyone fall asleep. When they woke up, everyone was different. Everyone had a happy gathering, drinking and eating. Pudding and Little Bean sat in Lord Su's arms. Little Bean even playfully stroked Lord Su's beard. A smile that hadn't appeared on Lady Su's face for a long time also appeared. Huamin held the baby and nestled in Qin Chu's arms. During the meal, the baby cried. Qin Chu hurriedly picked him up and took a stroll in the garden. Everything seemed so harmonious. Suyu finally understood. It seemed that his wish had come true. Everyone in that world had forgotten about him in the end. Actually, it didn't matter to anyone else. It was mainly the people who were related to him. The Su family and Huamin were the ones who suffered the most. Huamin felt even more guilty. When Pudding asked her that question, she just smiled and didn't say anything. Actually, she didn't indirectly admit that she liked Suyu. That was because she had always loved Suyu. From the beginning to the end, she loved him more than family. As for Mr. Qin, it was the love between a man and a woman. Therefore, Suyu was completely at ease this time. His last wish had been fulfilled by Master Wu. When everyone was gathered happily, Master Wu carried a jar of aged wine to a remote place. It was a cherry blossom tree behind the Su family's house. I've done what you asked me to do. Everyone in this world will forget about you. But I can't. I want to leave behind my only memory as the only evidence that you came to this world. So in the future, you must be happy. You must. With that, Master Wu took a big gulp of wine. Suyu realized that the corners of his master's eyes were red. He seemed to be crying. Chapter 4589. Suyu held back his tears and called out for his master. However, Master Wu couldn't hear him anymore. Suyu's wish had been fulfilled, and he couldn't cross the 2 worlds to meet in the future. Not even in his dreams. In the end, Suyu didn't cry. He looked up at the blue sky. Thank you for forgetting me. This time, I'm going to start over, for myself. Suyu knew that after forgetting him, his family would feel more relaxed. After forgetting him, Huamin wouldn't feel guilty and would live with Qin Chu without any grudges. After forgetting him, his 2 best friends, Tang Chuan and Wei Liao, would continue to live their own lives with families and children. To everyone, forgetting Suyu might be the best choice. Boss. After some time, Suyu was woken up by Anne's voice. What's wrong? Suyu opened his eyes in a daze. You're being discharged today. So? Do I have to go through the discharge procedures myself? No, no, no. I'll help you with all this, but you said last night that you had to leave early today. You didn't want Miss Hua to see you. Suyu remembered what he said last night. He did say that he would leave early today. He didn't want Mion to see him. Why was he hiding? Because he was afraid that if he saw Mion, he wouldn't be able to bear to leave the hospital and would stay for another month. If that was the case, Imperial Star wouldn't be far from disbanding. Therefore, even though Suyu didn't want to get out of bed, he forced himself to stay awake. After packing up, Suyu put on a long black casual jacket and a classic MLB baseball cap. He put on a black mask and carried a pair of shoulders as he left the room quietly. Not many people came to pick him up. Lady Su didn't come, and Suyu didn't allow anyone from the company to come. The bodyguards also left, leaving only in Suyu's sixth element. The master and servant left the hospital quietly. When Suyu left, the sky was still dark. By the time Huamin went to work at 8 a.m., Suyu had already left. Mion, did you know that Suyu was discharged? Yeah, I heard. Huamin knew that Suyu was almost fully recovered and should have been discharged a long time ago. He didn't even tell you about it. Why would he tell me? I'm not related to him. Huamian. Just as he was speaking, the delivery boy came in with a big box on his back. Excuse me, is Huamin here? I am. Huamian looked confused. Hello, this is the breakfast, please enjoy it. Then, the young man took out all the breakfast and took a look. It was the same as the other day. It was from that famous breakfast shop. Even the items they ordered were exactly the same. The funniest thing was that there was a card inside. Huamin held the card. Before she could open it, the nurse beside her snatched it and opened it. She even read it as she read. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time. Thank you for your hard work. I've recovered and been discharged from the hospital. This breakfast is to thank your department. The signature was Suyu. Seeing this, Huamin felt much more relieved. If it was something mushy, she really wouldn't be able to back down. After all, she had just said a few days ago that she had nothing to do with Suyu. If it was a confession, it would be a slap to her face. Suyu was smart. He knew that everyone would see it, so his tone became so official. The nurses were all very happy. Wow. Young Master Su is so warm. He actually bought us so much delicious food. It seems like it was for our department that day, not Mion. Yeah, young Master Su is thanking everyone. Mion, on the other hand, felt much more relaxed as everyone gossiped. She took out her phone and secretly sent Suyu a WeChat message. Chapter 4590. Huamin sent Suyu a WeChat message. Suyu had already arrived home and was having dinner with his mother. Suyu picked up his phone and glanced at it. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. What's the good news? Why are you so happy? Well, the stock market is going up, Suyu said perfunctorily. Lady Su smiled. Obviously, she didn't believe her son, but she didn't ask further. Huamin actually only sent a few simple words. Thank you, Suyu. This thank you was meaningful. Suyu understood what she wanted to thank him for. Suyu didn't reply to Huamin. He didn't want to waste time with her. He wanted to use his actions to prove how much he loved Huamin. Lady Su looked at the sweet smile on her son's face and knew that it definitely wasn't about the stock market. Her son was already worth tens of billions, so he didn't care about the stock market at all. Madam, boss, the delivery is here. Delivery? What delivery? Lady Su was slightly stunned. Tell them to put the things at the door and bring them in. Yes. And nodded and turned to leave. Did you buy anything? Lady Su looked at her son. Just something small. Suyu was vague. After a while, In came in carrying handbags of big brands. Mom, the temperature will drop next week, and the season is changing. I bought you some autumn clothes, cashmere coats, windbreakers, and cheongsams for you to wear at home. The sizes were custom-made according to your measurements. You haven't gained weight recently, have you? Suyu asked jokingly. Lady Su smiled with tears in her eyes. She was pleasantly surprised. In fact, Suyu had always been good to his family. It was just that boys were different from girls. Girls were more meticulous and would think of all aspects. He bought thank you gifts for his parents, cigarettes for his father, and a rice cooker for his family. Suyu used to charge money to his mother's card every month. He would transfer 1,000,000 yuan every month. However, Lady Su basically didn't know how to spend it. She spent the money that Suyu's father earned. She always felt that she could save the money for her son and use it in the future. After experiencing life and death, Suyu cherished his relationship with his family even more. Therefore, this time, he bought a lot of clothes and jewelry for his mother. From the brands, he knew that his mother's favorite. It's obvious how much effort he put in. Mrs. Su was touched. She stood up and looked at the clothes. There's also a custom-made suit for Dad, as well as casual wear for the golf course. That old man is the most old-fashioned. I'm tired of wearing suits all year round. When he comes back, I'll take you guys out to fish and harvest. We must have a family dinner to improve our relationship. Lady Su covered her mouth and laughed, but her eyes were red. Oh right, there's that. Suyu pointed. That's an ashtray for Grandpa. I don't know anything about antiques, so I asked someone to buy it. The experts have seen it and said it's real, for Grandpa. Why did you suddenly think of buying so many things for us? After all, Lady Su had watched Suyu grow up. He had changed so much that Lady Su wasn't used to it. Suyu looked at his mother and said gently, Mom, after this car accident, I narrowly escaped death. I realized a lot. I feel sorry for you guys. You guys raised me. I can't play exciting sports without caring about my life. I have to work hard, fall in love, get married, and have children. I want you, Dad, and Grandpa to enjoy family bliss. Lady Su was in tears after hearing Suyu's words. Chapter 4591. Suyu would only become a chatterbox when he was with Huamin. Actually, he didn't like to talk much since he was young. He didn't interact much with his family, but he was closer to his grandfather. Therefore, this was the first time Lady Su had heard her son say so much and buy so many things. She was extremely touched. In the end, she couldn't help but cry. Mom, why are you crying? This is a good thing. Your son is sensible and enlightened. Yes. Mayu has grown up and is an adult. Lady Su wiped her tears gently with a handkerchief. Don't cry. You won't be pretty if you cry. Lady Su smiled through her tears and sat down to continue eating with her son. The breakfast was extremely comfortable. After eating, Suyu put on his jacket. Son, are you still going out? Yes. Don't go back to the villa today. Stay at the old residence. Your leg has just recovered. Mom can take care of you. Mom, I'm not going back to the villa. I have to go to the company. I have a lot of work to do recently. I have to go for a meeting. Take care of yourself, Lady Su reminded him. Definitely. After Suyu left, he led into the parking lot. Boss, where are we going? The company. Okay, I'll drive the car over now. No need, I'll drive myself. Huh? You just got discharged? And was a little worried. Actually, I recovered a long time ago. I just stayed in the hospital for an extra week. Oh, I know. You're here to see Miss Hua. You talk too much. Suyu flicked En's head and the two of them walked towards the sixth element. Suyu had been driving for more than 10 years, so he drove very well. The two of them arrived at the city center in 20 minutes. At Imperial Star Entertainment Building, everyone might have seen Suyu wear a casual suit most of the time. So today, he was wearing a black casual outfit and carrying a baseball bat. Like a new generation idol, everyone was about to explode. Well, that's President Su. He looks a lot younger. That's right. President Su is good-looking to begin with. Now that he's dressed up like this, I'd think he's a handsome trainee from our company. President Su, you're so cool. I like your type. President Su seems to have changed his style today. Everyone was talking at the same time. When Suyu walked close to them, they were all talking at once. All of them bowed in unison. Good morning, President Su. Morning. Suyu smiled. Then, he walked directly to the CEO's private elevator. President Su, you seem to be in a good mood today. Yeah, he actually smiled at us. The female employees were still smitten downstairs. Su Yu went straight to the top floor. Shaoan, let the General Management Department inform everyone that there will be a high-level meeting in 10 minutes. It will be held in the 8th meeting room. Okay, what would you like to drink, boss? Water? Didn't you always ask for coffee? I'm going to drink something healthy now because I'm going to have a baby, and almost choked to death. Ever since his boss woke up, he had been talking about having a baby. What was the reason for this? And didn't dare to ask more questions. He poured a glass of water for Su Yu and went to inform him. Zhao Qingya was also well informed. She had rushed in before Su Yu's meeting. She was dressed very professionally today. She was wearing an orange-yellow shirt with a big bow on the collar. She was wearing a tight black short-sleeved shirt, black stockings, and high heels. She was obviously here to seduce Su Yu, President Su. It's great that you're discharged. You must have no idea how much I missed you. Zhao Qingya smiled sweetly. Su Yu looked down at his watch. I'll give you 5 minutes. If you have something to say it quickly. If not, get out. Chapter 45-92. Upon hearing Su Yu's tone, Zhao Qingya immediately felt wronged. Her eyes turned red. As expected of an actress, she had some skills. Her tears fell as if she was filming, especially when she was in the right state. Su Yu had known about these female artists for a long time. He never thought that anyone was innocent or pure. Of course, if Zhao Qingya and Jian Tong were fine, Nie Lingxian wouldn't have a chance to stand out. She wasn't that popular, therefore, according to the facts, Nie Lingxian was the least scheming among these female celebrities. President Su, what did I do wrong? I'll change. 3 more minutes. Su Yu looked at his watch. President Su, I know your family doesn't like women in the entertainment industry. I can give up my future for you. I can give up my career and stay by your side obediently, okay? Zhao Qingya made it sound like she was making a huge sacrifice. However, anyone with a discerning eye knew that quitting the entertainment industry was a small matter. If she could marry into the Su family, she would have no worries for the rest of her life. In the entertainment industry, no matter how rich you were still a low-status actress who could be attacked by internet trolls at any time. If she married into a wealthy and prominent family like the Su family, her status would be different. Then, her status would be different, and the child she gave birth to would also be known as the best reincarnated. How could Zhao Qingya not understand this? That was why she pretended to retreat and told Su Yu that she was quitting the entertainment industry for him. But the problem was, if it weren't for Su Yu, she would still be a B-list model in the entertainment industry. Shouldn't she thank Su Yu for promoting her? She kept saying that she loved him, but Su Yu knew that they were just using each other. There was no such thing as true love. Under Imperial Star, all the women said that they loved Su Yu to death. All these years, Nie Lingxian was the only person he had trusted. She had always kept a low profile and wasn't ambitious. She lived a simple life and didn't have a pile of luxury goods. Therefore, at this moment, Zhao Qingya's confession only made Su Yu feel more amused. Although Su Yu had a bad temper, he wasn't a bad person. He always felt that Zhao Qingya's fate in the other world had something to do with him. Therefore, after coming to this world, he didn't want the tragedy to happen. He only hoped that she would be able to adapt to the circumstances. President Su, I really love you. I can't leave you. Seeing that Su Yu didn't say anything, Zhao Qingya continued to sob and confess. Su Yu lowered his head and looked at the information as he said, if I remember correctly, you had dinner with the second son of the Wang Consortium last month, right? We're friends, Zhao Qingya quickly explained. What about the supper you had with Mr. Shun from Wu's pharmaceutical company last week? President Shin is also my friend. Please don't misunderstand. If the 64-year-old CEO Shin can be friends with you, then you really have a wide circle of friends. Zhao Qingya smiled awkwardly. Then what about the day before yesterday when you spent the night with a certain B-list male celebrity? Did you guys spend the whole night reading the script? Or did you guys spend the whole night fighting the landlord? No, it takes 3 people to play the landlord. I'm guessing the 2 of you spent the whole night talking about life. After Su Yu said this, Zhao Qingya's expression was extremely ugly. She had thought that Su Yu was hospitalized and couldn't walk properly, so she would be fine if she ate outside. However, although Su Yu didn't say anything, he understood everything. However, Su Yu didn't care. She wasn't an important woman to begin with. He only said this because he hoped that Zhao Qingya wouldn't bother him in the future. Zhao Qingya knelt down in front of Su Yu. President Su, I was wrong. I'll never do something like this again. What did you do? Su Yu pretended not to know anything and smiled innocently, making Zhao Qingya feel extremely guilty. Chapter 45-93. Zhao Qingya vaguely felt that Su Yu was different from before. In the past, Su Yu was at most bad-tempered, the type that would explode at any moment. Now, he rarely lost his temper and smiled more often. He was much more cheerful. However, she felt that he was more scheming and had a story to tell. President Su! Zhao Qingya cried as she tried to fight for her last chance. If you don't court death, you won't die. You can continue to make money at the company, and I won't cut your schedule. I won't care who you eat with or spend the night with. But if you meddle in other people's business, don't blame me for being ruthless. I believe you understand. After Su Yu said this, he looked at his watch. It was time. Then, Su Yu pushed open the door and left. Zhao Qingya was stunned. She realized that President Su was definitely a smart person. Zhao Qingya stood up and left the president's office. As she walked, she thought about Su Yu's words. It was obvious that President Su was going to change. In the past few years, President Su had changed his female partners many times. However, everyone heard that Su Yu wasn't interested in sex. He would usually go to a nightclub or have dinner with them. When Zhao Qingya first came to the company, she was still a nobody. At that time, her name wasn't Zhao Qingya, but Zhao Xiaoing. Later, her manager thought that the name was old-fashioned, so she changed it to a classic White Lotus. Then, she had dinner with Su Yu a few times, which was hyped by the media. That was how she became famous in the past few years. She naively thought that she could develop a deeper relationship with Su Yu. Even if she didn't become his wife, she could become his mistress and have a child in the future. With Su Yu's wealth and status, she wouldn't have to worry about anything. He would not have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of his life. But now, it seemed that he had been thinking too much. Su Yu really didn't have any feelings for her. Could it be because he liked Jian Tong? Other than Mo Shui, who had already terminated her contract and left, Jian Tong was the only person in the company who could compare to her. However, Su Yu had clearly warned her that he didn't care what she did. Su Yu didn't care. She could no longer meddle in Su Yu's affairs. Otherwise, she would lose her job. Zhao Qingya lowered her head and went downstairs with a dark expression on her face. Inside the conference room after finishing his work, Su Yu glanced at the chief executive officer. Director Zhang, arrange more schedules for Nie Lingxian. There are some good variety shows that she can participate in. Nie Lingxian. Nie Lingxian wasn't famous yet, so the director couldn't remember who she was. Oh, President Su, are you talking about the little girl who's been with us for a few years? Yes. Su Yu nodded. But she doesn't have any talent, and she's not as pretty as Miss Jian and Miss Zhao. That person didn't seem to think highly of this girl. Carry out my orders, okay? Su Yu's face darkened as he looked around. Yes, President Su. No one dared to refute. Su Yu got up, opened the door, and left. And hurriedly shouted on behalf of his boss, meeting adjourned. Everyone walked out with some apprehension. Why did President Su start to support that newbie all of a sudden? Isn't he close to Miss Zhao? I don't know. Maybe President Su wants to replace her. Is he interested in Nie Lingxian? I've never heard of her interacting with President Su. I feel like she's been playing extras ever since she joined the company. Now, she's still getting 3,000 yuan a month from the company as her transportation fee and some small roles and commercial performances. We can't guess what the president is thinking. Let's carry out his orders. When Su Yu returned to his office, Zhao Qingya was already gone. He turned on the stereo and played a lively song. Then, he impatiently took out his phone and sent a WeChat message to Huamin. What time do you get off work? What's the matter? Huamin replied instantly. Yes, there's something big. Su Yu pretended to be serious. What's the matter? Just say it, Huamin said in a businesslike tone. Chapter 4594. When I was at the company today, my leg hurt a little. Huamin frowned slightly. Then, I don't know if it's relapsed. I hurt it again. I want you to check it for me. If it's a checkup, you can come to the hospital tomorrow morning. The specialists are there, and the hospital has the equipment, Huamin recommended professionally. I don't want to go to the hospital anymore. I have phobia. After all, I've been here for so long, so I want you to check it for me. I'm just a nurse. But you went to a medical university and majored in obstetrics and gynecology. You're not a simple nurse. I believe you. There was no doubt that Suyu was trying to flatter her. After Huamin saw this WeChat message, he was so angry that he laughed. He was really resourceful. He even knew that she majored in obstetrics and gynecology. The reason why she became a nurse was that she did not have connections and was not paid. It was basically impossible to become a doctor directly, especially a doctor in a tertiary grade A hospital. That was why she planned to slowly gain experience. Previously, she was in the obstetrics and gynecology department at the first hospital. However, because she fell out with Ning Ziyuan, she was transferred to South Side, which was difficult to do. Moreover, she was transferred to another department and the salary was not that high. It was really difficult to say. Suyu, you said yourself that I majored in obstetrics and gynecology. You're not pregnant. How can I check it for you? My leg is just a little injured. Then you should go to the orthopedics department, Huamin emphasized. Suyu continued to act shamelessly. Then, why don't you use your obstetrics and gynecology department to check my leg? I give up. Huamin was so angry that he did not know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, I believe in your ability. Okay. In the end, Huamin's heart softened. What time do you get off work? I'll pick you up. No, the whole world knows your car. I'd better take the bus myself. There's no bus near my house. Call a taxi. It must be very expensive, right? Huamin's first reaction was that rich people liked to live in the suburbs. The scenery and air were good. About 60 renminbi. I'll send you a red packet and reimburse you. Suyu directly sent a 200 yuan red packet over to reimburse the return fare. Forget it, I'll just consider myself unlucky. I'm just paying the fare myself. I don't want this small amount of money. In the future, I'll scam you out of a huge sum. Huamin tactfully refused to accept the red packet. He was even being a little mischievous so that everyone would not feel awkward. Suyu liked her high EQ. If she wasn't extremely angry, she wouldn't embarrass others easily. It wasn't that Huamin was kind. She just felt that one shouldn't be too ruthless and shouldn't speak too harshly. After all, you don't know if you've offended a gentleman or a villain. Therefore, Suyu was attracted to Mion's high EQ. Although she and Suyu often argued with each other, everyone else liked Huamin's self-restraint. Although he came from a commoner family, he still lived a carefree and confident life. A confident person had a natural charisma. Okay, then you can pay for the fare yourself. I'll treat you to a big meal. I'll cook at home. How about that? You know how to cook? Huamin was in disbelief. In the other world, Suyu didn't have many opportunities to eat alone with Huamin. Even when Huamin was pregnant and lived with the Su family, she still lived in the old mansion. Suyu didn't have many opportunities to be alone with her. Therefore, this time, Suyu suddenly had the idea to cook for her. After saying that, Suyu was a little nervous. He was afraid that Mion would reject him. After all, she was such a xenophobic person. Chapter 4595. Sure enough, after Suyu sent this message, there was no response from the other side for a long time. Suyu held his phone anxiously. He wanted to ask, but he didn't think it was appropriate. If he didn't ask, he didn't know if she agreed or not. Suyu opened WeChat and was about to reply. He saw that the other party was typing on WeChat. A few seconds later, he received a reply from Huamin. She said, I don't like fat meat, neither do pork belly. Suyu was overjoyed when he realized what was going on. He immediately replied, Don't worry, I won't let you eat pork belly or fat meat for the rest of your life. Huamin sent a smiling emoji. Su Yu quickly asked, "What time are you free? What time will you be there? I'll prepare in advance. I have to get off work at 5:30. It'll take me an hour to change my clothes and take the car there. Around 6:30. Okay, I'll wait for you." Mian. If you're worried, you can bring your friend and brother along. After all, this is my private villa. I'm afraid you'll hold a grudge against me. I might be a commoner, but I'm not blind. I can still tell if you're a scumbag. Huamin was full of confidence. Really? Then why were you with Ning Ziyuan for 3 years? Fuck? Is Su Yu courting death? Huamin laughed in anger. Su Yu was really good at poking at her sore spot. Haha, I'm just teasing you. Don't take it seriously. Alright, let's not talk about it. I have a press conference in the afternoon and then I'll go buy groceries. Don't stand me up. Okay. After Huamin agreed to eat, Su Yu felt like the flowers in the world had bloomed. He was so happy that he spun around the office 3 times and even danced a classic Michael Jackson dance. Through the tempered glass, and looked at his boss dancing inside. His jaw almost dropped. That's my boss? And muttered to himself. After jumping a few times, Su Yu was in a good mood. He straightened his clothes, picked up his phone, and walked out. Shaoan, boss, what are your orders? What's your schedule this afternoon? It's a film release for a male artist from our company. There's also a business meeting in the evening. There are a few big shots from the entertainment companies who are all good friends of yours. Not bad? That's not the right word. Other than Master Tang and Master Wei, I don't have any friends. They're just my business partners. Yes. Tonight at the first-class palace, there's a dinner party. The private room is... Su Yu waved his hand. Turn it down for me. Do you have other plans at the last minute? Yes. Not at all. Let me get ready. No need. I know what I'm doing. Su Yu had always been hands-on with his company's matters, but he wasn't keen on business gatherings. Come downstairs with me. Let's go to the press conference first. Okay. Su Yu let him out. When they reached the first floor, they saw an acquaintance in the hall. The reason why he said she was an acquaintance was because Su Yu was actually very familiar with her, but that was in a different world. Nie Lingxian wasn't famous yet. When she walked up to Su Yu, she was very shy. She was wearing a classic floral dress from DG and had light makeup on. There was a different kind of charm in her elegance. President Su, she said in a low voice. Su Yu's tone was very good, and wasn't used to this. Basically, President Su's attitude towards the female artists in the company wasn't very good. He was very cold. President Su, my agent told me about what happened today. Thank you for giving me a chance. Nie Lingxian bowed deeply to Su Yu. Chapter 45-96. Su Yu was quite surprised to see Nie Lingxian so early. It seemed that the decision in the meeting room today had been conveyed. Su Yu also knew that such an abnormal action might cause a sensation in the company. Those scheming female stars would also guess if Su Yu had taken a fancy to Nie Lingxian. However, Su Yu still felt that he had let her down in the other world. That was why he wanted to give Nie Lingxian a chance. Besides, she was capable. I've seen your information. You've been in the company for a long time. You've been playing extras these few days. It's been quite tiring and your acting skills are not bad. The company has always been promoting newcomers. Of course, we have to give the old employees a chance. Work hard. President Su, I won't let you down. Nie Lingxian was a little excited. She looked at Su Yu with sparkling eyes. Su Yu also felt that he shouldn't give her any illusions and hurt her. Therefore, he should give up on her idea as soon as possible. Su Yu smiled. Then go ahead. I'm going to have dinner with my fiancé. Fiancé? Nie Lingxian was stunned by this word. Was he going to marry Zhao Qingya? Before she could finish, Su Yu left with a Nie Lingxian always felt that a green tea bitch like Zhao Qingya was not worthy of Su Yu. However, Nie Lingxian only admired Su Yu. She didn't love him as much as she did in the other world. After Su Yu left, Nie Lingxian went to the publicity department. Miss Nie, what's Zhao Qingya's schedule in the afternoon? I was thinking that if she's free, I'd like to have dinner with her. The staff member smiled and believed her words. He quickly found the schedules of all the artists on the computer. Zhao Qingya's column said that she would be flying to another city at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to promote a new movie and staying at a hotel in another city at night. Aya, what a coincidence. Miss Zhao is almost at the airport. Her flight is at 1 o'clock. It's fine. Since she's not here, where's Jian Tong? Nie Lingxian asked with a smile. As for Miss Yiling, there's an interview at the TV station at 1:30 in the afternoon. It seems that someone from the TV station picked her up early and treated her to a meal. Okay, thank you. I'll eat alone. Nie Lingxian walked out of the publicity department with a smile. It wasn't Jian Tong or Zhao Qingya. Then, President Su's fiancé must be someone else. As long as it wasn't from her company, she was happy for President Su. She always felt that after becoming an artist, the word innocent no longer existed. Although President Su occasionally had a bad temper, he was still a very nice person. If he were to get married, he also hoped to find a girl with a good character. Su Yu went to the press conference in the afternoon. When he was done, it was only 3 o'clock. He drove Shaoan to the largest imported supermarket in the city center. Boss, do we need to buy anything? Shaoan was puzzled. Grocery shopping. Do you want to buy groceries and go back to the old house to eat? And thought he was going to buy good ingredients for Lady Su. No, after buying it, we'll go back to the villa and do it. Who did it? And was scared to death. Although he knew how to cook, he only learned his skills in the military cookery class. It wasn't authentic at all. He was afraid that he would waste the ingredients and be scolded by President Su. Of course it's me. Su Yu looked proud. Boss, I've been with you for a few years, and I've never seen you cook. Don't make the kitchen explode, okay? Why don't we go out to eat? I'll treat you. You're rich now and you want to treat me? Can we go to Sea Return Restaurant? I'll eat abalone, sea cucumber, and lobster until you go bankrupt. Su Yu looked at Shaoan in amusement. Chapter 4597. Boss, leave me some money to cross the river. Don't scam me to the end. How about this? Do you want to eat shaved noodles? How about I treat you to shaved noodles at Shangxi Noodle Restaurant? Su Yu looked at him quietly. Then can I eat 1 bowl and pack 100 bowls? And, boss, I've lost some of my memory. I don't remember what you said just now. Let's hurry up and buy groceries. Hearing that his boss was going to scam him to death, and decided not to treat his boss to a meal and let him show off his culinary skills. When the time came, the kitchen would be in a mess. Next time, he would never enter the kitchen again. En's idea was good, but the truth was, Su Yu actually magically chose hot pot and seafood. The meat Su Yu bought was all fresh steak. Then he went home and started to boil soup. He used the steak soup as the base of the pot. Then he bought a lot of beef rolls, crispy meat, various vegetables, sweet potato slices, tofu, and so on. As for seafood, he bought hairy crabs, conches, wild green prawns, and a lot of crayfish. It was already 4 o'clock when he returned home. He thought that Huamin would be here at 6:30. Su Yu quickly put on an apron. He started to get busy in the kitchen. Boss, let me help you. No. After Su Yu rejected him, he started to get busy. This was the first time he had to stir-fry crayfish himself. Su Yu felt that this was a rare scene. He quickly took out his phone and took a picture of his boss's back. Then he posted it on his WeChat. My boss is doing the first big thing in his life, cooking. It was less than a minute after he posted it. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao commented. Tang Chuan, fuck, am I seeing things? Is that Su Yu? Wei Liao, Lord Su is cooking personally. What day is it today? Tang Chuan replied to Wei Liao, but this guy didn't ask us out. I'm disappointed. Wei Liao replied to Tang Chuan, is he keeping a mistress in his house? Tang Chuan replied to Wei Liao, then we have to go take a look and have a meal. Wei Liao replied to Tang Chuan, sure. 20 minutes. Let's see who gets there first. The loser will give a red packet of 10,000 yuan. Tang Chuan replied to Wei Liao, 10,000 yuan is too little. I'll bet 100,000 yuan. It should be enough for me to go to the nightclub once. Wei Liao replied to Tang Chuan, "Deal." Shaoan looked at the two men chatting and didn't interrupt. He suddenly realized that he was in trouble. When he posted it on his WeChat moments, he thought it was fun, so he posted it casually. But he forgot that there were two masters in his circle of friends. The boss obviously didn't have an appointment with those two today. It was someone else, and judging from the way the boss smiled at that time, it should be a woman. But if those two were to come, wouldn't the atmosphere be ruined? Thinking of this, Shaoan decided to look for Su Yu and apologize. After Shaoan explained the situation to Su Yu was silent for 5 seconds, then picked up the spoon. Shaoan reached out to block him. "Boss, I was wrong. Can you not use a spoon? Our kitchen utensils are all special. You can break bones if you hit them." Su Yu gritted his teeth. "I won't use a spoon. I can't let you off so easily. Wait here, I'll go get the shovel." "Shaoan." Su Yu took out his phone angrily and called the two guys. However, they didn't pick up. 10 minutes later, Wei Liao arrived first. He had always liked to drive an Audi A8, but this time, he actually drove a sports car, a crystal blue Ferrari supercar. 3 minutes later, Tang Chuan arrived. The moment he entered, he saw Wei Liao's sports car and immediately cursed. "Old Wei is playing with me. He doesn't usually drive sports cars." Wei Liao came over and smiled. "Just transfer 100,000 yuan to my WeChat." Su Yu came out with a dark expression. "Please go back first." "What do you mean? Are you chasing us away?" Tang Chuan raised his eyebrows. Chapter 4598. Su Yu nodded. "You can think of it that way." "Fuck, do you have any humanity?" Tang Chuan glared at him. "Pretend I don't." Tang Chuan, Wei Liao patted Su Yu's shoulder with a smile. "Let us stay. We're not here to freeload." "What?" Su Yu looked at his two dads vigilantly. "We want to see what kind of monster can make you, Lord Su, cook for her." Su Yu glared at him. "You're the monster." "Wrong. What I meant was, we want to see what kind of monster can make you cook for her." "So stingy. Our friendship is over," Tang Chuan threatened Su Yu. "Okay, take care, I won't see you out." Looking at Su Yu's cheeky attitude, he knew that he wasn't being sincere. "No, I'm hungry. I want to eat." Tang Chuan walked into the kitchen as if he knew Su Yu well. "There's so much food, seafood, and hot pot. Su Yu, you're good." Tang Chuan gave him a thumbs up. "Speaking of which, I haven't had hot pot in a long time. I'm in luck today." Wei Liao walked over with a smile. Su Yu cleared his throat and said, Come here." "Boss, what can I do for you?" "You take the pot and the cooked food, and move them all upstairs to the transparent glass room on the top floor." "What about Mr. Tang and the others?" "And froze. I'll order hot pot and seafood for them." No, we want to eat what you cook," Tang Chuan said coquettishly. "If you want to eat takeout. If you don't, get out." Su Yu was firm. "Old Wei, look at this guy who values women over friends. Do you think someone like Zhao Qingya is worth him isolating us downstairs and giving us takeout?" Tang Chuan also felt wronged. He didn't realize that Su Yu didn't like Zhao Qingya at all. "I'm afraid this isn't Zhao Qingya." Wei Liao had always been smart, so he analyzed directly. While they were struggling, Huamin came to visit. Hearing someone ring the doorbell, Su Yu panicked. Wearing slippers, he quickly ran to the door. Then he opened the door for her. The moment he opened the door, he even put on an extremely warm and cute wolf dog-like smile. "This is for you." Huamin threw a bag of fruits into Su Yu's arms. "Look at you. You didn't have to bring gifts. You're so polite," Su Yu said in an adult tone. Huamin didn't say anything. He went straight into the house and changed his shoes before entering the living room. Then he was slightly surprised. "You have friends here?" Su Yu was thinking about how to explain. Wei Liao quickly said, "We were just passing by and wanted to find something to eat. If you don't mind, we'll leave now. We won't disturb you. Let's all eat together." "I don't mind." Huamin knew that these people must be Su Yu's friends. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at his house. Naturally, he couldn't chase them out. Seeing that Wei Liao's trick worked, Tang Chuan immediately followed suit and walked up to Huamin. Su Yu said that he only made your portions and didn't make any for us. He even said that he was considerate enough to give us takeout. I think we can eat takeout, but I think it'll be lonely if it's just the two of you eating alone. Besides, there's so much food you can't finish it. Takeout? What takeout? Huamin turned around and looked at Su Yu in surprise. Chapter 45-99. Su Yu touched his neck awkwardly. I was just joking. Haha, I knew you wouldn't be so cruel to us. Tang Chuan walked over and hugged Su Yu. You little bastard, just you wait. You ruined my plans. Do you believe that I'll castrate you? Su Yu gritted his teeth and whispered into Tang Chuan's ear. I wouldn't dare. But your taste isn't good recently. She's really average looking. After Tang Chuan said this, Su Yu punched Tang Chuan's shoulder. Slandering Huamin was not allowed. Even if the whole world said that Huamin was average looking, she was still irreplaceable in Su Yu's heart. Huamin came and bought some fruits for Su Yu. Of course, they weren't imported. It was etiquette to bring some fruits and gifts when visiting a friend's house. No matter how rich Su Yu was, he couldn't forget about etiquette. While Huamin went to the bathroom, Wei Liao walked to Su Yu's side. Lord Su, how long have you known this girl? A long time, about 5 or 6 years. Su Yu blurted out and sighed. After saying that, he realized that he had said something wrong. After all, in this world, Su Yu had only just met her. Looking at Wei Liao's incredulous expression, Su Yu quickly corrected himself. It was a slip of the tongue. I meant more than 5 or 6 days. When I was hospitalized, she was my full-time nurse. So you flirted with your nurse? What are you talking about? We're in true love. True love? Does she love you? Wei Liao's words pierced Old Tai's heart. Before Su Yu could refute, Wei Liao continued, Do you know this girl's background? I do, I know everything. Su Yu was full of confidence. Bullshit. She's the illegitimate daughter of the Hua family. She's Hua Xiqian's half-sister. Wei Liao's memory was amazing. He remembered that a long time ago, Wei Liao had even browsed through the tabloid. At that time, Hua Xiqian's photos and Huamin's photos were all exposed. Later, it was said that the Hua family spent a lot of money to suppress the news. However, Wei Liao had a photographic memory and recognized her as soon as he saw her. He thought Su Yu didn't know. After all, Hua Xiqian's ambiguous character was famous in the circle. Hearing Wei Liao's mysterious words, Su Yu burst out laughing. Wei Liao, I know all that. Hua Xiqian and I even talked about her. I heard that her mother is a mistress, Wei Liao said. After all, the report back then directly said that Yang Meirong was involved in Hua Zhenghai and Jiang Hong's marriage. Actually, that wasn't the truth, but outsiders didn't know. They all heard about it from the media. What mistress? Don't talk nonsense. If you slander my mother-in-law, you'll die a horrible death, Su Yu warned. Mother-in-law? Oh my God. Do you have to be like this? Wei Liao and Su Yu had known each other for many years and grew up together. It was also the first time he heard the word mother-in-law. Su Yu exploded. Okay, let's not talk about it anymore. I'm going to accompany my baby. You and Duchuan can do whatever you want. Then, Su Yu walked towards Huamin. Huamin also came out of the bathroom and was interested in Su Yu's backyard. The two of them started chatting. When Wei Liao heard Su Yu say the word baby, he thought he was crazy. Su Yu is so disgusting now. Wei Liao was right to slander him. For the first time, he felt that Su Yu was like a happy husky. Upon closer inspection, he didn't feel that this girl named Huamin was special in any way. Could it be that someone had cast a spell on her? Chapter 4600. It was rare for Su Yu to see Huamin in such a good mood. He chatted with him about the flowers and plants in the back garden. It was summer, and Su Yu's private garden was blooming with flowers. But most of them were roses. At first glance, it looked like a rose garden. There were purple lavender plants around the edges. Do you like them? I'll go down and pick them for you. Su Yu realized that Huamin liked flowers. In fact, all girls liked flowers. No, I just think that roses are born with thorns and can hurt people easily. Also, their flowering period is short. It's not easy for them to survive in the north, unlike the south where it's spring all year round. That makes sense. What do you think I should plant? Su Yu asked humbly. Lavender is good for sleeping, but you don't plant much. I'm afraid it's just a side effect. After Huamin said this, Su Yu smiled awkwardly. As a man, how could he know how to plant flowers? When he was tidying up the back garden, he just casually sent some gardeners. He told them to just do as they pleased. In the end, the back garden, which was more than 100 square meters, became a mix of dragons and snakes. There were all kinds of flowers, and it was a little dazzling. Okay, then I'll plant lavender all over, Su Yu said. Huamin shook his head. You are so impatient. I'm not done yet. I think you can plant some lavender around and sunflowers in the middle. Su Yu slapped his forehead in realization. I understand, Mia. You're amazing. Sunflowers have a very good meaning. It means to always face the sun, right? That's so inspirational. I must plant a lot. I'll change it tomorrow. No, I mean, sunflowers can be eaten. Su Yu, I was joking. You took it seriously. It's a joke in the movie, Charlotte's Trouble. Upon hearing the words Charlotte's Trouble, Su Yu's mood instantly soared. The theme song in the movie was just once. It was the song that Su Yu sang for Huamin during the anniversary celebration. When he found out that Huamin and Qin Chu had gotten married, he was filled with despair. How he wished he had a chance to take care of Mian. However, he also knew that it was impossible. With Huamin's character, he would definitely love someone until the end. At that time, he felt that he had no chance. Even if Qin Chu died, Huamin would not marry him. Now that he had transmigrated to a parallel world, he finally saw hope. Deep in love, she took advantage of the fact that the breeze outside was just right and the sun was warm. Su Yu sang the song, just once, in Huamin's ear again. Huamin was a little shocked. She felt that it was very familiar, and then she felt that Su Yu's singing was very good and his voice was very sexy. Then, she held her face with both hands and looked at the flowers outside while listening to Su Yu sing. Wei Liao secretly picked up his phone and took a picture of this scene. Wei Liao was a good photographer, so he took a beautiful picture of Su Yu and Huamin with the help of the colorful light. What's going on, old Wei? Why are they singing? Tang Chuan nagged softly. How would I know? Maybe they hit it off at first sight. Wei Liao smiled. Boss, Miss Hua, it's time to eat, after Su Yu was done and cleaned up the mess. He washed the cutlery and brought it to the table. The food in the hot pot was ready to be eaten. The seafood had just come out of the pot and was still steaming hot. Coupled with Su Yu's luxurious European style, it was really domineering. Su Yu pulled out a chair for Huamin like a gentleman. Mian, sit here. I don't think that's a good idea. This is the master seat. Huamin felt that the seat was too obvious and inappropriate. It's okay, Miss Hua. You'll be the mistress of this place in the future anyway, and said casually. Then, the air in the entire room fell silent. Chapter 4601. Huamin was also extremely embarrassed. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan both looked at Huamin in shock. And rarely gossiped. If even he said so, it seemed like this matter wasn't simple. Su Yu coughed lightly and quickly explained, don't listen to his nonsense. What I mean is, if you sit here, you'll have good lighting and plenty of sunlight. Most importantly, you're close to the crabs, so you can eat more. Huamin also felt that it wouldn't be good if he continued to be shy, so he slowly sat down. Miss Hua, right? I want to sit next to you. Tang Chuan ran over and wanted to sit next to Huamin. Su Yu glared at him. Go sit next to old Wei. Tang Chuan immediately left dejectedly. In the end, and sat next to Su Yu, and Su Yu sat next to Huamin. There were 2 empty seats in the middle of Huamin, followed by Wei Liao. Next to Wei Liao was Tang Chuan, and next to Tang Chuan was An. Yes, just like that, the table was settled. Su Yu took the initiative to pick up a crab and gave it to Huamin. Eat it while it's hot. It's still fresh. I'll do it myself. Thank you. After all, There were so many people, so Huamin still couldn't let go. Miss Hua, what's your profession? Tang Chuan asked with a big mouth. Nurse. Nurse is good. The uniform is tempting. Tang Chuan smiled. Su Yu glared at him, and Tang Chuan immediately lowered his head and continued eating. Huamin looked at Su Yu's gaze and couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Su Yu asked Huamin in confusion. Nothing. Let's eat. During the meal, Su Yu glanced at him. After you finish eating, tell the gardeners to uproot the roses and other flowers today. Boss, what crime did those flowers commit? And thought they were quite beautiful. What did the flowers do wrong? They committed the crime of my future wife not liking them, Su Yu said matter-of-factly. Huamin, and Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, ignoring the confused looks on everyone's faces, Su Yu continued, plant more lavender around the perimeter and plant sunflowers in the center. Yes. And knew his boss's stubbornness. If he had made up his mind on something, even 10 oxen couldn't pull him back. It seemed that he had made up his mind. When did you have such good taste? Good. I was just about to say, your backyard is like a hodgepodge. It's a mess, too messy. There are all kinds of flowers, it's really not pretty, Tang Chuan interrupted. I've always had such good taste. I just didn't have the mood to take care of it in the past. Su Yu raised his head proudly. Then, may I ask why you're in the mood to take care of it now? Wei Liao asked him deliberately. Su Yu looked at Huamin and said, because my leg is better and I'm in a good mood. After hearing Su Yu's words, everyone laughed and didn't expose him. However, Huamin couldn't bear it. Su Yu, these flowers of yours have been growing for a long time. Let's leave them like this for this year. We'll change them when the flowers wither in winter. Otherwise, it would be a pity to uproot them during the blooming season. That's good too. Huamin's casual words made Su Yu change his mind. Oh my god. This was unprecedented. Wei Liao and Tang Chuan looked at each other, their hearts full of drama, and was stunned with a fish ball in his mouth. He didn't eat it, but he didn't spit it out either. And did you hear what Miss Hua said? Su Yu asked him, and nodded with a fish ball in his mouth. Huamin felt even more embarrassed when he saw the strange atmosphere. Therefore, he lowered his head and kept eating without saying a word. However, it didn't seem right to keep eating. This was because Tang Chuan suddenly looked at Huamin and said, Miss Hua, you have a big appetite. Huamin's face immediately turned red, feeling that she was too embarrassing. Su Yu, on the other hand, immediately defended Huamin. What's wrong with eating a lot? Did she eat your rice? Chapter 4602. Upon hearing Su Yu's words, Wei Liao quickly patted young Master Tang's back. Alright, eat your food. Mind your own business. Huamin ate very quickly and was soon full. Tang Chuan, Wei Liao, and Su Yu occasionally talked about things in the industry. She couldn't get a word in edgewise. She looked at her watch and realized that it was getting late. Huamin stood up. Su Yu, I'm going back first. Su Yu didn't want to stay any longer. After all, he didn't want Huamin to think that he had ulterior motives. Su Yu, on the other hand, started to act coquettishly. Big magnesium, take a look at my wound. That's more important. Huamin crossed his arms and looked at Su Yu's leg. He smiled and said, I don't think there's a need to look at it. I think you're almost like a normal person. You can walk and run. After a week, you can even jump. I've already seen your scans at the hospital. It's just a ligament strain. Don't be so nervous. Just rest well. It was really awkward to have a white lie exposed. That was true. Huamin was so smart. How could he not see through this? Seeing that he couldn't make him stay, Su Yu quickly stood up and picked up his jacket. Boss, let me send Miss Hua off. You haven't eaten much. And felt sorry for his boss and stood up foolishly. Calm down and sit down. It's none of your business. Your boss is already restless. Tang Chuan smiled. Su Yu glared at Tang Chuan, picked up his jacket, and followed Huamin out. He even said, the three of you, remember to wash the dishes after eating. Tang Chuan, Wei Liao, and after Su Yu left, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. Wei Liao picked up a piece of beef and said in puzzlement, Why do I feel like there's something wrong with this kid recently? Yes. I also feel that it's a little different from before, Tang Chuan quickly said. Unfroze, do you mean my boss is a fake? Shaoan, on the other hand, was not skilled enough to understand the hidden meaning in these noble young master's words. Wei Liao shook his head. No. That's not what I meant. I just feel that his personality has become much more docile. I agree. After the car accident, Boss has become much more docile. She's not as hot-tempered as before. And nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Wei Liao's words were exactly what he wanted to hear. Then do you think, it's like in many novels, that this Lord Su is no longer our Lord Su? He's a bastard who transmigrated from ancient times or some other dynasty. Why don't we beat him up when he comes back? Tang Chuan suddenly had an idea. And then Wei Liao looked at him in unison and said in unison, go ahead and beat him up. You'll bear the consequences. Tang Chuan, all right, stop talking nonsense. It's impossible for him to have transmigrated. I would recognize this guy's aura even if he turned into ashes. We grew up with him, so how could we not know him? Lord Su is definitely still Lord Su. It's just that although his personality is roughly the same as before, his temper has matured a lot. This feeling is like, I'm looking at Lord Su in his 30s. Although his face hasn't changed, his mind has matured a lot. Wei Liao's description was spot on. In essence, Su Yu had indeed transmigrated from his 30s. Therefore, although he had a young body, his mind was that of a 30-year-old Su Yu. However, no one would have thought of such a mysterious thing. Chapter 4603. After listening to Wei Liao's words, Tang Chuan nodded in agreement. Yeah, you don't say. Old Wei, your analysis is quite reasonable. Could it be that after this car accident, Lord Su saw through life and death and his personality changed drastically? That's possible. When people are on the verge of life and death, they can understand a lot. In order not to be ostentatious and not show off, Su Yu deliberately chose a very low-key black Audi A6. He originally planned to use it for the company, but the company later bought another brand. This old A6 was still in use. Su Yu often drove a black Lamborghini Sixth Element. After that, he drove a Ferrari, followed by a Porsche. He rarely used other cars. But now, there were 7 or 8 cars parked in Su Yu's super garage. So, in consideration of Huamin's feelings, it was better to drive this Audi. After all, Huamin lived in the old city area, and the residents there went to bed early. If he drove a supercar there, the noise would be very disturbing. Get in the car, it's cold. Huamin naturally opened the door to the front passenger seat and sat in it. He did not sit in the back seat like a stranger, which made Su Yu very happy. So low-key today? After seeing Su Yu choose this car, Huamin was slightly surprised. Yeah, it's so late. Your neighbors are probably all asleep. I don't want to disturb them. Huamin smiled slightly. At least you have a conscience. Su Yu looked wronged. I've always had a conscience, okay? Huamin smiled but did not say anything. Su Yu slowly drove away from the villa area and headed in the direction of Huamin's home. On the way, to ease the awkward atmosphere, Su Yu turned on the music and played a very soothing light music. Hey Bandrai, you have good taste? Huamin also liked to listen to this band's light music, so he was surprised that a violent person like Su Yu would like that kind of light music. My taste has always been good. After Su Yu said that, he smiled and looked at Huamin. Huamin suddenly realized that Su Yu looked a little childish when he smiled. He was so naive. It felt like pinching his face. You're looking at me so seriously. Are you in love with me? Su Yu deliberately asked him. Yeah, I love you. Huamin. Then, if you propose to me, I'm in a good mood, I might say yes. I don't want you to be with me. I have no house, no car and no car. I can't have you like this. It's hard for you. Su Yu's hands on the steering wheel were a little excited. It's okay, I have everything. You can live at my house. How can I do that? If our finances aren't balanced, there will be a lot of family conflicts in the future. Your family won't like a commoner like me. It's okay, as long as I like you, Su Yu jokingly confessed to Huamin. Huamin was a little embarrassed. He turned his head and looked out the window. That won't do. I don't like rich people. I'm not rich, I'm super rich. I don't like super rich either. Huamin pursed his lips and smiled. Then you can try. I'll give you a free trial for 3 months. If you're satisfied, you can order more. What do you think? There's no free lunch in this world. Cheap things aren't good, and good things aren't cheap, so you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So, are you saying that I'm cheap or that I'm not good? What do you think? Huamin couldn't stop laughing. Time passed quickly as the two of them chatted. In the blink of an eye, they arrived near Huamin's house. Suddenly, Suyu saw a man standing in front of her house. Huamin was also a little surprised. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the figure. Chapter 4604. After Huamin saw who it was, he pushed open the car door and got out of the car emotionally. Suyu wasn't in a hurry to get out of the car. After all, it was someone else's private matter. He calmly observed. Huamin walked over emotionally. Suyu rolled down the car window and could clearly hear their conversation. You're back? Ning Ziyuan glanced at Huamin's black Audi with a complicated expression. What are you doing here? Huamin glared at him coldly. Suyu looked at the man carefully through the light. He and Ning Ziyuan had barely seen each other. When Huamin and Ning Ziyuan were fighting, Suyu hadn't appeared yet. Qin Chu had taken care of everything. However, Qin Chu didn't exist in this world, so Suyu suddenly felt a little excited. It seemed like his chance had come. He had to perform well in front of Mian and get bonus points. Mian, I think I should apologize to you. No matter how much Ning Ziyuan pretended to be depressed, he couldn't win Huamin's sympathy. What he did was something Huamin, who was obsessed with cleanliness, couldn't tolerate. Huamin sneered. Apologize? What's there to apologize for? It's so funny. Are you drunk? I'm not drunk, Mian. I'm serious. Are you apologizing for cheating? No, we're not married. You can call it cheating. Yes. Are you apologizing for cheating? Or are you apologizing for embezzling tens of thousands of yuan from my savings? Or is there another reason? Mian, how about this? Pay back the money first. Give me my 60,000 yuan, and we'll talk about the rest later. Huamin was really angry. She hadn't worked for long after graduation. Where did she get so much savings? It wasn't even part of her mother's money. Her brother was still in school, and life was hard enough. When she first met Ning Ziyuan's family, she felt that they were a simple family. Their family was not as well off as Huamin's family. They lived in a remote village and could only rely on some cornfields and some mountain products to sell for money. Therefore, Ning Ziyuan's family only managed to scrape together 50,000 yuan. It was said that 15,000 yuan was borrowed from his aunt. Therefore, Beauty Yang felt sorry for her daughter and took out her savings. Just like that, the two families pooled together a down payment. In the end, when it was time to confirm the purchase of the house, the incident between Ning Ziyuan and Nurse He-Man was exposed. Most importantly, He-Man was pregnant, so she had no choice but to get married. Huamin would be lying if he said he wasn't sad. He didn't have any feelings for Ning Ziyuan. However, he felt that he had been blind all those years. The feeling of not being able to judge people and hating himself was hard for others to understand. The two of them, who had not seen each other for a long time, met again here. Huamin was very excited. If it weren't for his manners, he would have cursed this scumbag to death. Suyu heard clearly that Huamin seemed to be asking Ning Ziyuan for a sum of money that belonged to him. Mian, I don't have that much money on hand right now. I already used it to buy a house when I got married. Wow, using my hard-earned money to buy a house for your wife? You're a Marvel hero. Even Captain America's character isn't as good as yours. You love your wife. I applaud you. Huamin raised his hand and clapped, making Ning Ziyuan even more embarrassed. Man, I know I owe you. Don't worry, I will definitely pay you back. Now? Huamin stretched out his hand. Now I don't have it. Ning Ziyuan smiled awkwardly. If you don't have money, why are you looking for me? Huamin was not only cold, but he also cursed. Not far away, Suyu couldn't help but laugh out loud when he heard Huamin curse. This caused Ning Ziyuan to look over. Chapter 4605. Huamin also glanced at Suyu. Suyu realized that he had crossed the line and immediately shut up. Huamin looked at Ningxiuan. Get lost, don't stand in my way. When you have enough money, send it to me. Since we know each other, I'll charge you 30% interest. If you drag it out for 10 years, I'll be rich. 30%? Are you a loan shark? Ningxiuan looked aggrieved. Huamin smiled. You're thinking too much. Loan sharks are 50%. They won't be as kind as me. Mian, I came here today to tell you that. I want to make up with you. Say that again? I want to make up with you. Say that again? I want to make up with you. The signal is bad. Say that again? Huamin deliberately leaned over to listen. Ningxiuan. He finally realized that he had been fooled by Huamin. Suyu wanted to laugh again, but he didn't dare to this time, afraid that Huamin would be angry. I'm serious too. Why don't you go back first and let me rest? I'm not in the mood to talk to you today. After speaking, Huamin was about to walk into the courtyard. Mian, I want a divorce he man, Ningxiuan finally said this like a man. Huamin stopped and turned around to look at him. What does your divorce have to do with me? I want to end everything with he man and start over with you. Ningxiuan, look up at the sky. After Huamin said this, Ningxiuan obediently raised his head and looked at the sky. There was no moon tonight, and the sky was pitch black. Do you see a spaceship? It's round, and it's so big? Spaceship? Ningxiuan froze and continued to look. You believe everything others say. So, a fool like you isn't suitable for me. I'm afraid that your children will be retarded. Ningxiuan, don't joke around. If you want to start over with me, you won't even be able to get in line in your next life. It's none of your business. Get back to where you came from, don't affect my mood. Mian, are you so against me because you found a new lover? Ningxiuan anxiously pointed at the Audi and roared. What does it have to do with you whether I have a new lover or not? Huamian said matter-of-factly. When you're in school, you're a woman who doesn't know how to suck up to others. Now, aren't you a vulgar woman now? You agree just because I have an Audi. You're really worthless. If I buy a BMW, would you be willing to sleep with me? Ningxiuan was probably angered by Huamin, so his words were extremely vicious. Suyu was anxious when he heard this and opened the car door in exasperation. Before he could get angry, Huamin held his bag and threw it at Ningxiuan's head. He didn't forget to kick him as he did so. From the looks of it, he didn't show any mercy. Ningxiuan was probably hurt from the hit, so he raised his arm to retaliate. His hand reached for Huamin's collar. In the blink of an eye, Suyu dashed forward. He picked up Ningxiuan from behind and lifted his feet off the ground. Who the fuck are you? Ningxiuan turned his head. Before he could finish speaking, he was punched in the face. Ah! He screamed in pain from the beating. Huamin was also stunned. When did Suyu rush up? It seemed to be quite timely. Before Ningxiuan could react, Suyu picked him up with one hand and punched and kicked him. It was obvious that Suyu was beating the scumbag one-sidedly. The scumbag didn't have the strength to fight back. After all, Suyu's punch was too heavy. Chapter 4606. Who the fuck are you? Do you believe that I'll call the police and arrest you? Suyu took out his phone from his pocket and threw it at him. Come on, call me now. Hurry up. Ningxiuan picked up his phone with trembling hands. He looked at Huamin while looking at this man. Huamin couldn't bear to see Suyu hit Ningxiuan. She didn't care how badly Ningxiuan was beaten up. However, Suyu's fist was broken. Your hand is injured. It's nothing. Suyu smiled. At this moment, Ningxiuan looked particularly funny. Hello, is this the police? I'm the victim. Someone hit me here. Yes, the perpetrator is still here. However, Ningxiuan successfully revealed the address of Huamin's house. The nearby police station arrived in less than 5 minutes. They were also very efficient. The sound of the police car immediately alerted many neighbors and they came out to watch. Suyu pushed Huamin hard. He pushed her into the courtyard. At this moment, Huamin's mother and brother came out to see what was going on. Sis, you're back, Jishin asked. What's going on outside? Why are there police cars? Two drunk people got into a fight. Are you okay? Did it affect you? Jishin quickly walked up to see if his sister was okay. I'm fine, I was just passing by. It's nothing to do with me. You two are fine too. Don't go out to see what's going on. Let's go back. Hwamin put his arm around Jishin's shoulder and walked inside. Your sister is right. Let's go inside. What's there to see? I'll lock the door now. Yang Merong quickly locked the door of the courtyard from inside. After all, a woman with a pair of children living in such a bungalow area was afraid of causing trouble. Su Yu pushed Hwamin away in time, so Hwamin stayed out of it. When the police arrived, they were still very arrogant. However, when he saw Su Yu, he immediately cowered. The leader politely said to Su Yu, "Young Master Su, why are you here?" Su Yu's appearance was known to all the police officers in the city. It was the same for the traffic team. They were afraid that they would accidentally offend this ancestor. His career as a police officer would come to an end. Not to mention small policemen like them, even the big leaders of the city bureau had to be polite to them. Su Yu's father and grandfather were not just big shots in Sea City. The Su family had been an aristocratic family for decades. They were deeply rooted here, and their connections extended in all directions. It was true that they were in a high position, but it was also true that they never bullied the common people. So, over the years, Su Yu had been involved in scandals of fighting with others. At most, there were rumors about him and a female celebrity. Young Master Su? Ning Ziyuan was still dumbfounded. What young Master Su? Why did even the police officers in the local police station know this guy? What was this guy's background? Su Yu lit a cigarette impatiently. Then, he glanced at the police officer and said, "Take us back to the police station first. Don't disturb the people here. The neighbors here need to sleep too." After saying that, Su Yu didn't forget to look at Hwamin's door. Young Master Su is right. We'll leave immediately. But young Master Su, you don't have to go back with us. You can drive away directly, the captain said. Police, he can't leave. He's a pervert who beat me up. You can't let him go. Ning Ziyuan insisted on not letting Su Yu go. You shut up. The captain turned around and scolded the nameless junior who had a terrified look on his face. Su Yu shook his head. I can't leave. I have to go back to the police station with you to make a statement. No need, no need. I wouldn't dare to trouble you. The captain was scared out of his wits. I have to go with you because I still have a score to settle with this bastard. How about this, Captain, you go back first. I'll drive after you. I'll see you in the station later. Chapter 4607. In the end, the police officers at the police station listened to Su Yu's suggestion. They used the police to bring Ning Ziyuan back. Su Yu, on the other hand, drove to the police station. When they arrived at the police station, Ning Ziyuan was locked up in a small room without a word. Su Yu sat in the captain's seat and someone even poured tea for him. What a double treatment. Young Master Su, take your time, we'll listen. There's no rush, have some tea first. The captain looked at Su Yu politely and smiled. Su Yu glanced at the teacup indifferently. As for the tea, I won't drink it. It's late and I won't be able to sleep. Yes. I wasn't considerate enough. I'll get you a glass of water. No need, I'm not thirsty either. I'll just say a few words. I didn't know this scumbag before. I was on my way home when I saw him waiting at my friend's door with a wretched expression. He harassed my friend and even wanted to use force on her. I only intervened because I wanted to protect my friend. That's the gist of it. If you don't believe me, you can investigate and check the surveillance cameras nearby. No, young Master Su is a man of his words. There's no need to lie about his identity and status. We'll definitely deal with it seriously. There's one more thing. I heard that he still owes my good friend 60,000 yuan. I think. Su Yu wanted to say something but stopped himself. However, the captain was smart and immediately understood what Su Yu meant. Leave this to us. It's late. Young Master Su, you should go back and rest. Su Yu nodded, got up, and walked to the door. He turned back and said, I don't want to see this person at my friend's door or at work in the future. Young Master Su, don't worry. We know what to do. Su Yu nodded and drove away with a smile. As soon as Su Yu left, the police captain immediately interrogated Ning Ziyuan. It was true that he waited at Huamin's door and harassed Huamin. It was also true that he owed Huamin 60,000 yuan. None of this was made up by Su Yu. During the interrogation, Ning Ziyuan kept saying that Huamin was his ex-girlfriend and that the two of them had dated before. There was no such thing as harassment. But the police didn't care. When the captain heard Su Yu talking to him, every time he described this woman, he would use the word good friend. Moreover, he had used it 3 times. One could imagine how important this woman was to Su Yu. Therefore, they did not listen to Ning Ziyuan at all. He didn't use words to extort a confession, nor did he use violence. He just locked him up like that. Before the captain left, he said, Our brothers are all off work. If this guy doesn't pay us back, we'll let him go 24 hours later. Then, we'll catch him in a few days. Upon hearing this, Ning Ziyuan immediately cowered. With trembling hands, he called He-Man. He-Man drove to pick him up in the middle of the night. She was so angry that the couple even quarreled at the police station. But in the end, He-Man left 60,000 yuan in cash. Later, the captain contacted Su Yu and wanted to give the money to Su Yu. Su Yu said that he could call his good friend directly. 10:30 p.m. When Su Yu returned, Tang Chuan and Wei Liao had already left. Only Yan was still watching TV on the sofa. Boss, you're back. Are you hungry? I'll make you something to eat. I'm not hungry. You should go to bed early. I'm going to sleep after taking a shower. Su Yu seemed to be in a good mood. Sure enough, Su Yu received a message on WeChat not long after. It was a video call from Huamin. Su Yu picked it up happily. Miss Hua, please speak. Don't talk nonsense with me. Su Yu, what happened after that? I got into a fight for you and was brought to the police station by the police. Su Yu said calmly. What? You were brought to the police station? Which police station are you at now? I'll bail you out. Huamin knew that Su Yu was implicated because of him. Chapter 4608. No need. I'm already out. I've already driven home. Are you okay? Huamin was still a little uneasy. After all, Su Yu was indeed implicated because of her. The problem was that she didn't expect Ning Ziyuan to come to her and say things like reconciling. After all, ever since Ning Ziyuan betrayed her, the two of them hadn't seen each other. Now that Ning Ziyuan had a family conflict with the pregnant He-Man and was in a bad mood, he went to harass Huamin. He was really the scumbag of scumbags. I'm scared. I'm just scared. Why don't you comfort me? Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Stop fooling around. What time is it? Su Yu giggled for a while. Then, she lay on her big bed in her pure white pajamas. Then she could chat and tease Huamin face to face. It felt good. Su Yu felt that after coming to this world, she seemed to have become more cheerful. She could do whatever she wanted, and she was filled with happiness everywhere. Yeah. Thank you for today, Huamin said. You're just thanking me with your mouth? Su Yu deliberately made things difficult for her. Then I'll give you a red packet later? Huamin probed. Do you think you're richer than me? Su Yu continued to make things difficult for him. Then I'll treat you to a meal? Huamin controlled her temper. Many people want to treat me to a meal. You'll have to wait in line for half a year. Su Yu, don't go too far. Huamin could tell that Su Yu was deliberately teasing her, so her face darkened. Look, now you're showing your true colors. You're so fierce when Ning Ziyuan harassed you. I'm your savior, but you're scolding me instead. What kind of logic is that? Miss Hua, tell me, where did you learn this from? Did your PE teacher teach you that? Huamin laughed again. Tell me, what do you want? How about giving yourself to me? Su Yu asked with a smile. You wish. Huamin also rejected him very straightforwardly. I knew you would say that. Hey, I'll let you go this time. I heard that there's an old street near your alma mater. There's a famous ramen restaurant there. Can you treat me to that one day? How did you know? Huamin was stunned. I looked it up on the reviews. They said it's delicious and cheap. Yes, 2 yuan for a bowl of ramen. The boss has been making it for more than 10 years. It's really not easy. Actually, the noodles aren't that delicious. It's just that our classmates miss the taste of the past. I don't care. I just want to eat. Okay, my treat. At this moment, the video on Huamin's side was suddenly cut off. Su Yu said hello, but there was no response. He guessed that Huamin's phone probably ran out of battery or was cut off by an incoming call. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, Huamin sent Su Yu another video call. What's up? I'm about to fall asleep. Su Yu pretended to be sleepy. Stop pretending. Did you tell the police that Ning Ziyuan owes me money? I just casually mentioned it. It's only right to repay a debt, Su Yu said nonchalantly. Just now, the captain drove directly to my house and gave me the cash. Oh my God. I never dreamed that I would be able to get the money back. Huamin was a little excited. 60,000 yuan was nothing to Su Yu. However, to Huamin's family, this was his mother's hard-earned money and his own salary. She remembered that there was a time when Huamin scrimped and saved to save this money. No matter how hot the summer was, she couldn't bear to eat ice cream. In the end, she received Ning Ziyuan's shameless betrayal. Now that she got the money back, she suddenly felt that the world had become a better place. Chapter 4609. That's a good thing. I have to congratulate you. It's too late tonight. I'll quickly deposit it for my mom tomorrow. Now that you're appeased, Ning Ziyuan probably won't dare to look for you in the future. Huamin was smart. From Su Yu's words, she could tell that he must have said something. A person like Su Yu would naturally be treated well by the local police station. Therefore, she really didn't have to worry about this. But this time, she owed Su Yu such a big favor. Would she be able to pay him back with a bowl of 2 yuan noodles? Huamin lowered her head and thought about these questions. Su Yu looked at her in the video seriously. Her eyelashes were very long. Especially when she looked down, they were especially beautiful. Su Yu. Huamin suddenly raised her head. Su Yu was so scared that he quickly looked away, afraid that Huamin would notice. 2 yuan for a bowl of noodles is too shabby. I'll treat you to something better. But I don't have much money on me right now. When I get my salary at the end of the month, I'll treat you to a meal on the same day. My monthly salary is 4,000 yuan. I'll treat you to a meal with 4,000 yuan. What about you? Don't you have to live for the next month? Su Yu really wanted to scold this silly woman. I'm simple. I have an insulated lunchbox. I can bring food home. Huamin smiled brightly. It was as if this wasn't a bad thing, but Su Yu's heart ached. Why did such a good person like her have to live such a poor life? Hearing her say this made his heart ache. That won't do. I'm not such a heartless person. Let's eat ramen. If 1 bowl isn't enough, I can eat 2 bowls. Also, I can add 10 yuan of beef and a bottle of soda. After hearing Su Yu's words, Huamin smiled happily. Su Yu still didn't want her to spend money, so this man was actually kind. It seemed that the rumors outside were not true enough. The person who said that Su Yu had an explosive temper and bullied the common people was probably blind, right? At the very least, everyone knew that Su Yu had a bad temper when he was hospitalized. However, he had never bullied the commoners even once. He reckoned that some of his competitors had hired someone to write an advertorials against him. All right, it's settled then. Mian, I want to eat tomorrow. Tomorrow, are you free? I have one after work. It can be after 4 or 5 o'clock. Ah, that's great. I'm also on the day shift, so I'll get off work at 5 o'clock. Let's meet directly at Second High. Su Yu wanted to say that he would pick her up at South Side, but he was afraid that it would affect Huamin's reputation. So he nodded. Okay, see you tomorrow. After hanging up the video call, Su Yu was still very happy. Then he began to hum a little tune. After lying down for a while, he felt that he couldn't fall asleep. She immediately got up and opened her oversized cloakroom. Let's see what I should wear tomorrow. He looked left and right, but he was still not satisfied. Therefore, Su Yu decided to pick a few clothes and try them on. and who was downstairs, could not help but be worried when he heard the clanging sounds upstairs. Could it be that someone kidnapped my boss? And hurried upstairs and pushed open Suyu's door. Suyu almost peed his pants. Fuck? Don't you know how to knock first? Little brat. Boss. I heard something wrong. I thought something happened to you, and stammered. At this moment, Suyu was wearing a pair of boxers and was about to try on a pair of jeans. However, just as he was about to put them on, and came in, this timing was really hard to explain. Boss, why don't I help you carry them up? And saw that his boss was struggling to put on his pants, so he thought that his leg injury had not healed. Chapter 46:10. Get out of here. You've seen everything. There's no privacy at all. And, on the other side at Huamin's house. Huamin looked at the 60,000 yuan that Suyu had gotten back for her and how he had helped her in time tonight. She suddenly felt that Suyu was actually quite a nice person. She turned on her phone, clicked on Suyu's profile picture, and went straight to his WeChat moments. Suyu usually had a bad mouth and would say anything. However, that was only with Huamin. He basically did not interact with other women. He was not so free that he would chat with women every day. But of course, Huamin was an exception. Suyu's WeChat moments were actually very clean. There was no chicken soup for the soul. There was no such thing as not reposting or not being Chinese. There were also no national affairs or hot news that aroused public anger. He would not post videos to show off when he was gathering with his buddies, nor would he show off his watches, luxury cars, and mansions when he was shopping. After all, those were all done by bumpkins. Psychologists had analyzed them. The more people lacked something, the more they would show off. Therefore, those who desperately flaunted their wealth had a twisted personality. To Suyu, the name Suyu was already a luxury among luxury goods. There was no need to show off at all. He would just eat rice noodle rolls by the roadside. That would definitely cause quite a commotion. Huamin briefly browsed through Suyu's WeChat moments over the past few years. She found that there were only a few pieces of news about Imperial Star. It seemed that Suyu was not a chatterbox, nor was he a man who often sighed. With that thought, she subconsciously added another point to Suyu. She remembered that she still had an appointment tomorrow to eat noodles together. Huamin quickly turned on her phone to check the weather tomorrow. Fortunately, it was sunny and there was no rain. Huamin only fell asleep after an hour of tossing and turning. The next morning, Suyu had nothing to do in the morning, so he drove straight back to the Su family's old residence. Initially, she had bought some of her mother's favorite snacks and planned to send them over to visit her. Unexpectedly, he was caught red-handed by his grandfather. Suyu woke up early and didn't have breakfast. He planned to come to the old mansion for a free meal. Therefore, it was only 7:30 p.m. when they reached home. Old Master Su, on the other hand, was wearing a white Chinese undershirt with half sleeves. He was watering the flowers in the garden in front of him, humming an opera while watering the flowers. He seemed to be in a good mood. This was the first time Suyu had met the old man after transmigrating to the parallel world. He was actually a little excited. He looked at it for a while, then opened his mouth and shouted, "Grandpa!" When old Master Su heard the sound, he turned his head and smiled lovingly. "Brat, you're back." Suyu couldn't control the excitement in his heart. He quickly walked over and hugged the old man. "Grandpa, I miss you very much." "What's wrong today? Don't you always call me old man? Why are you being so obedient today? Did you get into trouble outside? Can't settle it? Or do you need Grandpa's help?" The old man deliberately teased his grandson. He knew that Suyu wasn't the kind of person who liked to cause trouble. Suyu's eyes were a little red. He refused to let go. "I just haven't seen Grandpa in a long time. I miss you very much." "Nonsense, I only came back last month. I went to the hospital the night of your car accident. After knowing that you were fine, I immediately returned to the capital to continue the meeting. Wasn't I delirious at that time? Now that I've been discharged and have recovered, naturally, I feel that I haven't seen Grandpa in a long time. Little brat, at least you have a conscience." The old man was obviously very happy. Chapter 46:11. Grandpa, I haven't eaten yet. It's rare for you to wake up so early and come back to see us. Shuyun. Grandpa called out the cook's name. Grandpa, what can I do for you? You hasn't had breakfast yet. Make it for him. Yes, Grandpa. The cook smiled at Suyu. Young Master Yu, what would you like to eat? Do you have dumplings? Yes, they'll be ready soon. What kind of dumpling filling do you like? Before Suyu could speak, Grandpa said for him, beef and radish. Oh, Grandpa, you guessed right. Didn't you eat the most filling in this dumpling? How could you hide it from me? Grandpa put down the spray bottle in his hand and sat on the rattan chair beside him. Grandpa, are you still busy in Jing City? Suyu sat beside Grandpa and massaged his legs. It's all right. Although it's not a big deal, there are a lot of small things. Suyu nodded. Okay, Grandpa, you're already in good health. Don't keep busy. You have to take care of your health. When it's time to retire, retire. We have plenty of money to support you. What nonsense are you talking about? Grandpa, you're doing this for money. This salary isn't much. It's not even enough for your clothes. It's just that I feel that I can still do something and serve the country. It's good. Grandpa's voice was loud and clear. It was obvious that he was an old revolutionary soldier. No matter what, he cared about the country. Little brat, how's your leg? Grandpa Lord Su looked at Suyu's leg with heartache. It's completely healed. It's fine. If I find out that you're speeding again, I'll break your legs, Grandpa deliberately said with a straight face. I understand. Suyu smiled cheekily. Your dad seems to be quite busy recently. Didn't you call him to ask? Suyu touched the back of his head, a little embarrassed. You two are big men, what's there to talk about? Don't you know my personality? You're even more stubborn than me. I heard from Mom that he's been in Southeast Asia recently. You two are really carved from the same mold. Both of you are as smelly and hard as the rocks in the latrine. Master Lord Su said. Suyu laughed. Then you're right. I'm better than my dad in one aspect. What is it? The old man asked him seriously. I'm more handsome than my dad. Suyu's smug words made Lord Su laugh. Young master, the dumplings are ready. All right, I'll be right there. Suyu held his grandfather's arm. Old man, come in and eat with me. I can't. At my age, if I eat too much, it won't be easy for me to digest. You can go. The old man waved his hand. Okay, then I'll go in. Yes. Suyu had just taken a few steps when he suddenly thought of something. He turned his head and asked Lord Su. I want to get married. Master Lord Su, what? Say that again? Master Lord Su thought he was hallucinating. Master, I like a girl. She's not from the entertainment industry, but from an ordinary family. She's very nice. I must marry her and give birth to a few great-grandchildren for you. Don't tell me you're teasing me by making fun of my old man. Master Lord Su obviously didn't believe Suyu's words. Master, it's true this time. It's not a joke. You know, all these years, I've never discussed private matters with you. This is the first time I've spoken to you. After hearing this, Grandpa Su felt that it made sense. Does your mother know? No one else knows. I got your approval first. Otherwise, how would I dare to get married? Suyu smiled. Actually, he already knew that his grandfather loved him so much that he would never interfere with him. What does that girl think? Is she willing to marry into our Su family? Master Lord Su asked wittily. Suyu felt a little guilty. I'm trying to persuade her, but I believe it won't be a problem. Master Lord Su was speechless. Chapter 46:12. Get the girl first before you tell me. I feel embarrassed for you. With that, Lord Su walked into the depths of the garden with his hands behind his back. Suyu went into his room to eat breakfast dejectedly. Perhaps it was because he knew that he had an appointment today. He was in a particularly good mood when he returned to the company for a meeting. Everyone in the company could tell that President Su was in a good mood today. President Su, you need to sign this document. Seeing that President Su was in a good mood, The finance director finally dared to take out the document that Su-yu had been upset about. Su-yu flipped through the document. The finance director was so scared that he didn't even dare to breathe loudly, afraid that he would be scolded. Unexpectedly, Su-yu only glanced at the finance director indifferently. "You sure know how to pick the right time." The finance director smiled awkwardly. Without another word, Su-yu picked up the pen and signed it. It was extremely smooth. The finance director took off with the document. He wanted to run and shout at the same time. "Everyone come quickly. President Su is in a good mood today." "In the office." "Boss, yes. I want to take 2 days off." "Even you're bullying me, right?" Su-yu looked at him. "No, I wouldn't dare." "Then why are you taking 2 days off?" Su-yu was afraid that An wouldn't listen to him and meet that liar on WeChat. In the end, he would be completely hurt. "I have an aunt. Her son is getting married tomorrow." "Which aunt?" "I remember your aunt's son is only 11 years old." "Not that one, another one." "How about this? I'll go back to my hometown to attend the wedding tomorrow. I can provide a few luxury cars. What do you think?" "No need, I can go by myself." "Don't mention it. I have nothing to do anyway, so I'll accompany you." Seeing Su-yu's firm attitude, and didn't dare to continue asking for leave. "Boss, I'd better not ask for leave. I suddenly remembered that my aunt didn't treat me very well in the past." "Yes, it's better if you don't go. Go back to work." And walked out in disappointment, but he didn't forget to pick up his phone and keep sending WeChat messages. Su-yu knew that this kid was lying. Xiaoan had been with him for many years. How could Su-yu not know what kind of relatives An had? However, even though the holidays were cancelled, he was still worried. Su-yu picked up the phone and dialed the internal number. "Yuan Yu, from today onwards, follow An during the day. Don't let him go anywhere. Follow him after work too. I'll go find him when I'm done." "Okay, President Su." Yuan Yu was the deputy leader of the security department. He was young and skilled. He and An hit it off very well. And didn't have any relatives or friends, so other than Su-yu, the only person he got along well with was Yuan Yu. Su-yu didn't want An to meet a girl he met on WeChat, so he asked Yuan Yu to follow him. Su-yu was also thinking that he should find a good girl for An. He couldn't let him stay single forever. It was time for him to start a family. In the afternoon, Su-yu took care of a lot of documents and had 3 meetings of different sizes. After rejecting all the social engagements, Su-yu drove away after work. In order not to attract attention, he drove a black Audi. After all, if a Lamborghini appeared on the streets of Second High, it would cause a commotion. When Su-yu arrived, Huamin wasn't there yet. He picked up his phone and sent a WeChat message to Huamin. "I'm here." Chapter 46:13. "Okay, if you're hungry, eat first. I'll pay the bill later." "What are you talking about? I can't afford the bill myself." Su-yu retorted angrily. On the bus, Huamin looked at his phone and almost laughed out loud. From his tone, it was as if he could see Su-yu's 3-dimensional expression. "I'm still on the bus. You still have to wait for me for 10 minutes. "No problem, there's no rush. Be careful on the way." Then, Su-yu played a game on his phone. Su-yu liked white Versace. Compared to many luxury brands, this brand's price was acceptable. With Su-yu's identity, he could afford to wear anything. However, he liked the design of this brand. It was the demonic style of the snake woman. Today, he was only wearing a pair of light-colored casual pants and a simple white short-sleeved shirt. In the middle was the snake woman logo. This simple casual style was Su-yu's favorite. Other than the suits he usually wore at the company, almost all of Su-yu's clothes were Versace. At this moment, 2 girls walked into the shop. They looked to be in their early 20s. "After eating so much ramen, Aoxian's ramen is still the best," one of them said. "Yeah, the food in our university's cafeteria is terrible. It's not even as good as our middle school's. Fortunately, it's close." The 2 of them walked in one after another, sat down, and ordered a bowl of noodles. Su-yu was dressed in branded clothes and was handsome. The phone in his hand was the latest model on the market. These female students with strong vanity loved it the most. Hey look, that's so handsome. He looks like a rich second-generation heir. Looks are indeed my cup of tea. One of the girls who had plastic surgery on her face smiled and flipped her long hair. She walked over with small steps. She said in a tone that only existed in Korean dramas, "Little brother, can we add each other on WeChat?" Soo-yu was so focused on playing with his phone that he didn't think that she was talking to him. After all, he was already so old and still had to be hit on by these girls. "Little brother, please look at me." The girl pouted and looked at Soo-yu pitifully. Before Soo-yu could say anything, a voice came from outside the door. "Soo-yu, she's talking to you." Soo-yu raised his head and looked at the girl in front of him. She happened to block his line of sight, so he couldn't see Hwa-min. Soo-yu waved at the girl impatiently. "Please stand aside. I can't see my friend." The girl's expression changed slightly. She had such good looks, a good figure, and a pretty face. She had almost never been rejected. Why is it that this time? The girl stepped aside awkwardly and turned around to look at the girl who came in. Looking at Hwa-min's ordinary looks, she was even more dissatisfied. "Little brother, it's just adding me on WeChat. Do you have to be so petty?" This time, the girl stomped her feet and pouted, acting cute to the extreme. Soo-yu almost threw up. "You can ask my wife. If she agrees, I'll do it." Soo-yu pointed at Hwa-min and said. The girl's expression immediately changed. She didn't expect them to be husband and wife. This was a joke. She flirted with the couple. Hwa-min looked at the girl with a smile. "Why don't you add me on WeChat?" "It's okay, sister." After speaking, the girl awkwardly pulled her friend away without even leaving money. It was extremely unkind. When the owner's beef noodles were served, the two girls were already gone. Where did they go? The owner was puzzled. "Boss, give it to us. We wanted to order 2 servings too." "Thank you, Miss Hwa. You've been patronizing our shop all these years." The owner obviously knew Hwa-min. After the owner put down the noodles, he glanced at Soo-yu. "Is this your boyfriend?" The owner actually started gossiping. Before Hwa-min could say anything, Soo-yu immediately corrected him. "I'm not her boyfriend." Only then did Hwa-min heave a sigh of relief. "I'm her fiancé," Soo-yu said again. Hwa-min. Chapter 46:14. "Miss Hwa, you're getting married soon. Congratulations. Today's noodles are on me." The boss was really happy. Perhaps he had always thought that Hwa-min was a good person. "What are you talking about?" Hwa-min looked at Soo-yu and asked through gritted teeth. "Did you see that? I cheated the boss out of a bowl of beef noodles. It's so worth it." "That's all you've got?" Hwa-min was both angry and amused. Soo-yu changed the topic. "Hurry up and eat. It won't taste good when it gets cold." Then, Soo-yu swallowed the noodles in a few big bites as if he was eating the best food in the world. "Boss, one more bowl." "What? You really eat as much as you want for free?" Hwa-min laughed at Soo-yu. "Am I the kind of person who's greedy for small gains?" "You are." Hwa-min was arguing with Soo-yu and thought that he would retort. Unexpectedly, Soo-yu took advantage of Hwa-min's distraction and used his chopsticks to pick up a mouthful of noodles from his bowl. "Aren't you being too mean?" Hwa-min was angry. "I can't wait anymore and I'm hungry. If you think I'm dirty, you can give me the rest of your noodles." "I don't think you're dirty. Don't even think about it." Hwa-min hugged his bowl and refused to let go. It was only 2 yuan worth of noodles, but the two of them were really playing hard. However, Soo-yu was in a good mood. To be honest, Aexion's noodles were not bad, but it was not at the level of being extremely delicious. The reason why there were still many customers over the years was that most of them graduated from second high school. Secondly, and very importantly, they had not increased the price for so many years. It had always been 2 yuan per bowl. Of course, it was not a very big bowl. It might only be a few mouthfuls with some minced meat. But it was still a reasonable price. With the current prices in C-City, if they went to other noodle restaurants, the price would be much lower. A bowl of beef ramen cost at least 15 renminbi. The reason why he wanted to eat ramen here was because he knew that Hwa-min's alma mater was here. Secondly, she wanted to live a normal life with Huamin. Huamin also had a good appetite today. Suyu ate 4 bowls in one go. Huamin also ate 2 bowls and added a lot of beef. When it was time to pay the bill, the boss refused to accept any money. He said that it was to congratulate Huamin on his wedding. Suyu was also embarrassed. He secretly threw 100 yuan at the bar and left with Huamin. After eating and drinking to one's heart's content, it was easy for one to feel happy. When they walked out, there was even a slight breeze. It was a wonderful feeling. I'm a bit full. Let's do some exercise. Can you take me for a walk in second high? Suyu suggested. Our school's field is very big. If you walk, you'll be exhausted. You're underestimating me. I usually work out like it's just a walk. I won't be tired. Then let's go. I'm happy to keep you company. Huamin rarely wore high heels, so he wore a pair of white sneakers every day. In winter, he would choose thick snow shoes. The two of them strolled by the field. They could vaguely hear the sound of students reading aloud from the school building. The two of them walked in the warm summer night. Neither of them spoke, as if they were afraid of breaking this beautiful and peaceful atmosphere. After a long time, Suyu suddenly turned his head and asked Huamin, I heard that you were a super straight-A student in second high? Chapter 46:15. Huamin smiled but didn't say anything. What are you laughing at? Did I say something wrong? Suyu was puzzled. No, you're right. It's just that I'm not only a top student in second high, but also in primary school and junior high. Naturally, I'm a top student in second high. Then why didn't you study abroad? I heard that you received a scholarship from a university in Singapore. After Suyu arrived in the parallel world, he realized that the people here were the same as in the other world. However, their fates were somewhat different. For example, Ning Ziyuan married He-Man, not Wu Xiaoxua. When Huamin was in second high, she didn't meet Qin Chu. Hua Xiqian and Huamin were half-siblings. All of this shocked Suyu. Later, he investigated the past of these people again and found out that Huamin had always been excellent since she was young. However, in the face of so many offers from foreign universities, she still didn't choose to go abroad. Instead, she stayed in a medical university in the city. After completing her undergraduate degree, she came out to work. Everything that had happened was a pity. Singapore, forget it, it's not fated with me. Huamin smiled bitterly, as if she didn't want to talk about this. Suyu saw her expression and didn't continue to ask. You rich people don't understand the world of the commoners, Huamin joked. Suyu nodded seriously. You commoners don't understand the world of the rich people either. Of course. That's why I've decided to pull you into my world of the rich people to understand. Huamin quickly shook her head. Forget it, I can't get used to it. Then I'll go to the commoners' world to understand. What do you think if I move near your house? Huamin was stunned. I've asked around. The Wu family next to your house is very sincere in selling, and the price isn't high. A courtyard is only 800,000 yuan. Auntie Wu's house? Huamin frowned. I'm not sure. My subordinate went down to discuss it. Suyu, you're crazy. There's no sign of any demolition in our area. What's the point of buying that house? The environment is terrible, the air is foul, and the traffic is inconvenient. The roads are full of craters as if they were bombed by bombers. Even your Lamborghini would be bumpy over there. Huamin felt that it was not worth it for Suyu. Why did he have to buy a one-story house and a small courtyard for 800,000 yuan? Auntie Wu's family was really greedy. It's not expensive, it's fine as long as I'm willing. Suyu was happy. Then you can buy mine. I'll sell it to you for 790,000. If you pay in one go. I can even give you a discount. How about 78 yuan? Suyu, then, we can use the 780,000 yuan you gave us to buy 2 apartments in the suburbs. We can even buy my brother's wedding house, Huamin said happily. Suyu, what do you think? Suyu, buy mine. It's cheaper than Auntie Wu's house, Huamin continued to tease him. The problem is, I want to buy that house because I want to be your neighbor. Damn it, now you want to sell your house to me? Am I going for your anti-woo? Ha. Hwamin bent over with laughter. He didn't expect Suyu to be so funny. Suyu didn't laugh. Instead, he looked at Hwamin with a wronged expression. This damn girl's brain wasn't ordinary. How could she say something like that? Not only was she trying to steal from her neighbor, she even wanted to buy a wedding house for her brother. She was indeed China's best sister. What are you laughing at? Stop laughing. Be serious. Okay, let's stop fooling around. Don't buy my house, it's really not worth it. There was a developer who wanted it and negotiated with us. In the end, they offered 1,600 yuan per square meter. My house is only about 80 square meters, so the total price is only 128,000 yuan. If you give Auntie Wu 800,000 yuan at once, wouldn't she be ecstatic? I told my grandpa yesterday, I want to get married. Suyu suddenly brought up this matter. Chapter 46:16. I'm quite surprised that someone like you would get married so early. Hwamin looked down at his sneakers and said unhurriedly. What's wrong with someone like me? Did I commit murder or arson? Suyu laughed. That's not it. I just think that children from super rich families like you are born with everything. You can't wait to eat all the delicacies in the world and flirt with all the girls in the world. You won't get married until you're 40. Very few people in their 20s are bound by marriage. Let's put it this way, isn't the son of a famous tycoon in China often on entertainment copyright in Sino Weibo? He's already in his 30s, but he still doesn't get married. Isn't it because he keeps changing online celebrities? Although it's exposed, he has no morals. Who doesn't get broken up when they're in a relationship? But if he gets married, it's different. If he dates an online celebrity behind his wife's back, it's cheating. He'll be scolded to death. Suyu nodded. That makes sense. So, you don't have to be in such a hurry to get married. After all, marriage is a curse for you guys. Hwamin said this from the perspective of a friend for Suyu. There was nothing wrong with Suyu saying that he wanted to get married. After all, the person who could marry Suyu must be from a prestigious family. Ordinary families shouldn't be considered by the Su family. That makes sense, I've learned something. Suyu bowed with both hands. Hwamin smiled and rolled his eyes at him, knowing that he did it on purpose. Although what you said makes sense, I still want to get married, Suyu continued. It's fine as long as you think it through. If you want to get married, then get married. Your family's money is like a gust of wind. It's easy to prepare for the wedding of the century. In 2 words, spend money. Hwamin bent down and picked up a green leaf from the ground. Only Second High had this kind of leaf. Back then, the principal transplanted a few trees from a mountainous area. He didn't expect this kind of tree to be so awesome. It grew extremely lush on the school grounds of Second High. Hwamin liked this kind of leaf very much. It was a little heart-shaped. Mian, what I'm worried about right now, that girl hasn't agreed to my proposal. It's not easy. Who would be so stupid to reject Suyu's proposal? Hwamin asked absent-mindedly while playing with the leaves. That's right. I also think she's retarded. How many people in the Su family want to marry into the family? Let's not talk about money and power. Just Suyu's looks are off the charts? Suyu stroked his chin with a narcissistic look on his face. Hwamin turned to look at him and nodded. Yeah, your looks aren't just off the charts. I think they're off the charts. Why do I find your words strange? The more Suyu thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. Haha, I didn't think too much. I was just praising you. No, you're obviously slandering me. The 2 of them fought all the way, and in the end, they were both exhausted. See, let's go back. It's too late. Hwamin looked at his watch. It was almost 9:30. Okay, I'll drive you. Suyu walked out of the campus with Hwamin and returned to the parking lot. Then, the 2 of them got into the black Audi and left. Hwamin leaned against the passenger seat. Perhaps she was really exhausted. Suyu didn't know if she was asleep with her eyes closed the whole way. Suyu played Bandri's Lioli Lakeside. Hwamin felt even more comfortable. Then, she tilted her head and fell asleep. When they arrived, Suyu didn't ask her to get out of the car. He waited for her in the driver's seat. Suyu took out his jacket from the trunk and covered Hwamin with it. Then he continued to listen to music in the car, looking at her red cheeks as she slept. Suyu wanted to kiss her? This was the person he had loved for so long. Chapter 46:17. Suyu slowly moved closer. The closer he got to Hwamin's face, the faster his heart beat. He had never done something like this before. He was really scared, like a little boy seeing his favorite toy for the first time. Suddenly, just as he was about to kiss Hwamin, Hwamin opened her eyes. "What are you doing?" Startled, Suyu quickly retreated back to his seat. Then, he adjusted his collar and looked embarrassed. "Wow, Suyu, you took advantage of me." "I didn't." "Then what were you doing?" "I just wanted to kiss you." "Bullshit, kiss me? Do you think we're in kindergarten?" Hwamin glared at him angrily. "What? I just wanted to kiss you. If you don't like it, you can kiss me back." "Shameless." Hwamin was so angry that she almost rolled her eyes. "For you, I can be shameless. What are you going to do about it?" Suyu said shamelessly. "You can hit me or scold me if you want." Hwamin looked angry on the surface, but she really couldn't bring herself to be angry. She only said bitterly, "Suyu, you're about to get married. Don't mess with me. If you want to be friends, then be friends with me. If you have other thoughts, then forgive me for not being able to keep in touch with you. I don't want to be the mistress of a rich family or the third party. I've already learned a lot from my mother. Don't try to coax me like I'm a 3-year-old child and talk about love. Love between a man and a woman is very simple. If you love me, then you should marry me, not sleep with me." Perhaps because she saw through her mother's pain, her mother originally appeared before Jiang Hong. It was Hu Jinghai who changed sides at the last minute and married Jiang Hong for the sake of the Jiang family's power. In the end, Hwamin's mother was labeled as a mistress for the rest of her life. Hwamin admitted that Suyu was a good person, but he didn't want to follow in his mother's footsteps. In short, to her, it was wrong to be a mistress, no matter what reason one had. Suyu wanted to laugh, but he was afraid of angering Hwamin. Hwamin seemed to have thought too much and misunderstood Suyu. She didn't know that the person Suyu wanted to marry was definitely her. "Don't worry, if I succeed in marrying the girl I love, I will never look for you again," Suyu said with a straight face. Hwamin suddenly felt hurt. Although there was nothing wrong with what Suyu said, it just sounded a little heartless, but she still felt so uncomfortable. "Alright, I'm going back. Drive safe." Hwamin opened the car door and was about to get out. Suyu quickly chased after her and asked, "Hey, you won't be angry tonight and block or delete me? You won't be that petty, right?" Hwamin didn't say anything and continued to walk forward. "If you delete me or block me, then you're too heartless, you ingrate." Hwamin stopped and turned around angrily. "I am an ingrate." Before she could finish, Suyu rushed up to Hwamin at lightning speed and gently kissed her on the lips. Then, he ran away. The entire process took less than 5 seconds. By the time Hwamin reacted, the car had already started. "Su, you bastard, you pervert!" Hwamin yelled angrily. "Thank you for the title, I like it. Good night, my Dr. Hua." Hwamin didn't understand Suyu's last sentence. Why did he call her Dr. Hua? Why did he think this title sounded good? Was he crazy? When she thought about how Suyu stole a kiss from her, she felt like she was dreaming. She reached out her finger and touched her lips, feeling a little dazed. Chapter 46:18. After Suyu kissed Hwamin, he didn't contact her for a few days. Hwamin was a girl who cared a lot about her face, so she didn't send Suyu a WeChat message. However, sometimes she couldn't help but look at Suyu's WeChat moments. Unfortunately, Suyu didn't post anything these days. Could it be that something had happened? Hwamin was a little worried and started to let her imagination run wild. She even looked for news about Suyu on the entertainment pages, but there was no news. Then what did Suyu do these 3 days? He was at home and didn't even go to the company. He was only at the Su family's old mansion. Then he was a good boy for 3 days, serving his mother, his grandfather, and his father who just came back. He didn't contact Hwamin these few days because he was preparing a big move. Su family's old mansion, morning. Tell me, what do you want? Master Lord Su had seen many people in his life and was the best at reading people's minds. His grandson had been serving him tea and water these few days, so he must have a purpose. After Lord Su said this, Mr. and Mrs. Su couldn't help but laugh. The little brat must have a request. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so obedient since he was young. As expected, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Grandpa, I do have a request, and my parents. After saying this, Su Yu deliberately looked at his parents' expressions. Mrs. Su had always spoiled her son and wasn't worried that she wouldn't agree. However, Mr. Su had a bad temper and spent less time at home than Lord Su, so this was a rare opportunity. Su Yu decided to give it a try. Of course, he wasn't confident in his heart. This wasn't like the other world. In that world, his parents and grandfather spent a lot of time with Huamin, so they liked Huamin very much. However, in this world, no one knew Huamin, so it was still very abrupt to suddenly talk about marriage. Tell me, what's the matter? Su Yu's father lowered his head as he ate. He didn't even look at Su Yu. Dad, I don't dare to say, don't dilly-dally like a man. Su Yu's father really had a bad temper. Su Yu didn't say anything, but the old man was already unhappy. You hasn't said anything yet? What are you doing with the kid? Mrs. Su felt sorry for her son and scolded her husband. Su Yu gritted his teeth. He knew that it wasn't a good idea to continue dilly-dallying like this. It might even backfire. Therefore, she put down her chopsticks, closed her eyes, and said loudly, Master, Father, Mother, I want to get married. After saying this, Master Lord Su reacted calmly. This was because Su Yu had warned him beforehand. However, this was the first time Mr. and Mrs. Su had heard that their son was getting married. They were still very shocked. What? You're getting married? How old are you? Mr. Su frowned. 28 years old, Su Yu said confidently. 27 years old, Mr. Su corrected. Yes, weren't you the same age when you and my mother gave birth to me? Su Yu was indignant. That era was different. What era is it now? Who would get married so early? Have you done well in your career? Su Yu's father didn't seem to agree with his son's marriage. He didn't even ask who he was getting married to. He just felt that Su Yu was getting married a little too early. After all, in a rich family, many rich second-generation heirs only thought about getting married after they were 35 years old. Some even had children in their 40s. This was already a common phenomenon. Lord Su didn't say anything and just drank his nourishing soup. Seeing his father's attitude, Su Yu was a little anxious and retorted, Dad, don't you want a grandson? What do you mean? She's pregnant? Mr. Su's eyelids twitched. Chapter 46:19. Su Yu was a little embarrassed. He also felt that what he said was too dangerous. Did you get her pregnant? Mrs. Su was also very anxious. Although the Su family was rich, it was a traditional family. She really didn't want her son to bully a girl. If he really got her pregnant, it would be really troublesome. After all, this kind of thing was more embarrassing in a family. Lord Su was drinking soup. When he heard this, he pricked up his ears and listened carefully. He didn't care about anything else. He only cared about when he could have a great-grandson. What are you guys thinking? If I get married, I can have children, right? Strange, don't you not like children? Lady Su remembered that her son was like this when he was young. He didn't have much patience for babies. It was still the same when he grew up. Relatives and friends would bring their children to visit. Su Yu basically treated them coldly. He didn't provoke the brats, but he definitely wouldn't get close to them either. Mrs. Su used to be worried that Su Yu would become a dink in the future, so she tried to persuade him. Su Yu didn't like children, and he still didn't like children. However, he liked his own children. After all, children were the best of his family. When the twins were born, Su Yu was as busy as if he was their biological father. Su Yu gave 100% of his love for the twins. When Su Yu left, the twins were almost 4 years old. Su Yu had never gotten angry with them. He didn't know if it was because he wanted to marry Huamin too much or because he missed the twins too much. Su Yu felt that he didn't want to delay it any longer. Otherwise, with Huamin's slow personality, who knew how long it would take for him to get married? Yeah, I don't like children now, but I like my own children. After Su Yu finished speaking, Lord Su and Mrs. Su both laughed. I often watch the news, but I've never seen you in a relationship. Don't tell me you're going to marry a female artist from your company? Mr. Su kept a straight face. Of course not. Besides, Dad, entertainment news is just entertainment. Not many of them are true. Don't believe what they say, Grandpa. Say something for me. I've mentioned this to you before. Su Yu saw that he couldn't withstand his father's interrogation, so he decided to look for reinforcements. The old man slowly put down the soup bowl. He smiled and said, "You've made a good move. You've warmed up to me in advance. I was wondering why you suddenly respected Grandpa so much. It turns out that you're waiting for me to save the day for you. Grandpa, you love me the most. I want to get married, I want to get married. I don't care." Su Yu simply acted coquettishly and shamelessly in front of his grandfather. Master Lord Su was a sucker for this. Ever since he was young, he would satisfy Su Yu as long as it wasn't against morality or the law. Dad, why don't you listen to what the child says about that girl? As soon as the old man spoke, Mr. Su was indeed obedient. If that's the case, then tell me, what's her situation? Mrs. Su was very happy. As she stirred the milk tea, she looked at her son with a loving smile. Grandpa Dedma, I'll be honest with you. She's not some socialite's daughter. She's not some highly educated doctor. She doesn't have a prominent background, and she doesn't even have a decent job. She's just an ordinary girl. She doesn't have a face that can topple countries, she doesn't have the ability to act coquettishly, and she doesn't have a scheming mind. I like her. She's my cup of tea. The first time I saw her, I felt like she was my entire world. She's brave, strong, kind, and righteous. Chapter 46:20. Su Yu said so much in one breath. Although there weren't many words of praise, they were all used to describe Huamin's ordinariness. But at the end, there was a huge reversal. The general meaning was that she might not be outstanding in their eyes, but she was the girl he loved. Such a long speech shocked everyone. Lady Su was even a little touched. She felt that someone who could make her son go to such lengths couldn't be too bad. Has the girl agreed? Master Lord Su still remembered that day when Su Yu said that the girl hadn't agreed. That girl? I think she's interested in me too. It's just that because of our family background, she doesn't trust me. She always thinks that I'm the kind of person who plays with feelings. So, in order to express my sincerity, I want to marry her directly. Do you know her well? Mr. Su asked seriously. I do. I've actually known her for a long time and have been observing her. It's just that I've only started to officially interact with her recently. Since you make it sound so amazing, why don't you bring her back another day and let us see her? Lady Su couldn't wait to say. Sure. But the three of you have to help me do something first. Su Yu's fox tail finally showed. What is it? Lady Su was stunned. Su Yu looked at his grandpa and then at his parents. He said embarrassedly, I hope the three of you can go to that girl's house together and propose marriage. If she agrees, I'll bring her back openly. Propose marriage? Mr. Su was stunned. At my age, I've never done such a thing. Master Lord Su laughed. All three of us have to go? Your grandfather too? Lady Su was a little uncertain. Yes, Grandpa has to go too. Only then can we show our sincerity. Also, you can't go empty-handed. You have to bring the betrothal gifts. Mr. Su, Mrs. Su, Master Lord Su, but don't worry, I'll pay for the betrothal gifts myself. You just have to help me formally propose marriage as an elder. Will you be rejected? What if you are rejected? That would be so awkward. Grandpa Lin laughed. Grandpa, don't jinx it, okay? Su Yu looked helpless. Master Lord Su's mischievousness meant that the old master was in a good mood, so his words were equivalent to an indirect agreement. Mr. and Mrs. Su naturally didn't dare to refute. Dad, this is too weird. We haven't even seen what the girl looks like, and we're just going to propose marriage. I'm glad you like it. It's settled then. After making the decision, The old man walked towards the study. Before she left, she didn't forget to ask Su-yu, "When are we going?" "There's no time to lose. Let's do it this afternoon." She's on the day shift. She gets off work at around 5 o'clock. If she gets home, she'll have to take the bus at 6:30. So, let's go to her house around 7 o'clock. "How many cars should we drive?" Lord Su asked Su-yu seriously like a child. "I think since it's a marriage proposal, we should make it grand. How about 10 cars? "It'll be perfect," Lady Su suggested. No, please don't. Mom, their family keeps a low profile. We don't want to scare them. I plan to drive my Audi A6. That's right. It's good to keep a low profile. Don't put pressure on your future in-laws." The old man nodded and went upstairs. Mr. Su was still not used to it. "Su-yu, are you serious? If we go and the marriage proposal succeeds, if you go back on your word, I'll break your legs." Before Mr. Su could finish, Su-yu immediately leaned forward. Holding his father's chubby chin, he smiled and said, "Dad, I'm begging you this time. I promise I won't regret it in this life. I won't regret it in my next life, or the life after that." Chapter 46:21. Hwa-min got off work at the same time as usual. While he was on the bus, he kept checking his phone. There was still no contact from Su-yu. He was a little disappointed. It seemed that these rich kids were indeed unreliable. It had only been a short while, and he was already tired of the old after kissing her. Besides, she knew her own limits. With such a plain face, she shouldn't even think about seducing a wealthy man. Hwa-min laughed at himself and leaned against the window of the bus, feeling a little melancholy. When he got home, Jishin was already back. He was busy in the kitchen with his mother. "Sis, you're back." "Yeah. Mom made cornmeal noodles today. It's stewed with shredded potatoes and celery. Is it appetizing?" Jishin smiled mysteriously. "Yeah, I haven't eaten it in a long time. I'll change into my home clothes first and come help you guys later." Hwa-min walked back to his room listlessly. "What's wrong with my sister? She doesn't seem to be in a good mood." Jishin asked his mother in a low voice. "Your family must be tired recently. Day and night shifts. I'm confused." Yang Meirong looked at her daughter's expression and guessed that it was because of work pressure. The family was busy. Just as they were about to eat, they suddenly heard someone knocking on the door. Because it was summer, the family had a wooden square table under a big tree in the yard. However, it was quite old, and the stools were still old-fashioned benches. Hearing the knock, Jishin quickly got up to open the door. When he opened the door, he was a little dumbfounded because he didn't know any of these people. "Excuse me, is Mion home?" Su asked first. "Yes, she is. Come in." Jishin opened the door and let the guests in. Hwa-min turned his head. When he saw Su-yu, his heart almost stopped. The problem was that Su-yu didn't come alone. There were 3 older people behind him. He knew Lady Su because he had seen her a few times at Southside Recuperation Center. So, Su brought his family here? At the thought of this, Hwa-min felt extremely nervous and even a little helpless. Yang Meirong stood up and looked at these strangers. She didn't know what to say. Su-yu introduced himself in a flattering manner. "Hello, Auntie Yang, my name is Su-yu. I'm Mion's." Su-yu glanced at Hwa-min and continued, "I'm Mion's boyfriend. I brought my family here today to discuss our marriage." Yang Meirong felt like her brain was about to short-circuit. She couldn't react in time. Jishin coughed violently, wondering what was going on. She remembered that her sister had just broken up with Ning Ziyuan not too long ago. How could she secretly have another boyfriend? And looking at the way this family was dressed, they seemed to be quite rich. Wait, what did this little brother just say? His name is Su-yu? That's Su-yu. Could he be the big boss of Imperial Star Group? Jishin suddenly felt that his brain capacity wasn't enough. "Sis, what's going on?" Jishin asked Hwa-min in a low voice. "How would I know?" Hwa-min was also confused. "Since you're here, if you don't mind, let's have dinner together. But there's nothing good at home, and I didn't prepare anything in a hurry." Yang Meirong was a good person, but she felt that tonight's simple meal wasn't very good for guests. Mom, I'll go out to the restaurant and get some takeout, Jixin said. Okay. Yang Meirong took out 200 yuan from her pocket and handed it to Jixin. Andy, it's okay. We like corn noodles. Can we sit down and eat together? Su Yu looked at the food on the table. Chapter 46:22. Of course. Just like that, the 4 members of the Su family suddenly joined in. The 7 of them sat around the table and ate the cornmeal noodles. The old man was very happy and ate 2 big bowls. When I was in the army was stationed in the northeast. This was the most common food in the cafeteria. I haven't had this flavor in many years. Did you make it yourself? Yang Meirong quickly nodded. Yes, uncle, we made it ourselves. You're Mian, right? Lady Su looked at the girl sitting next to Su Yu and looked at her carefully. Huamin quickly stood up when Lady Su called out his name. Hello, Auntie Su. Sit down, sit down. You don't have to be so polite. Don't be nervous. Lady Su vaguely remembered seeing this child at the hospital. Then, she remembered Su Yu's subtle reactions after he was discharged from the hospital during the car accident. Lady Su understood the cause and effect. Although this nurse didn't look very exquisite, there was definitely a reason why her son liked her. To be honest, we're here today to propose marriage. Old Master Su had always been swift and decisive in his actions. He didn't waste time on nonsense. Therefore, after taking a sip of water, he went straight to the point. Yang Meirong was shocked. Su Yu's father was also an honest person. He took out an exquisite silver suitcase from behind him. Then he opened it and there was a pile of red yuan inside. In-law, here's 3 million yuan. We in the north have a tradition of giving gifts. I don't know how much other families give, but because we were in a hurry, we didn't take a lot. Just treat this as the deposit for the child's wedding. We'll make up for it immediately if you need it later. Jixin almost choked on his noodles. 3 million yuan? Deposit? This wasn't a dream, was it? Huamin was also stunned. It wasn't because of the amount of the gift, but because he wondered why Su Yu's family was here to propose marriage. Calling her mother-in-law? What was going on? Huamin secretly stepped on Su Yu's foot, then whispered angrily in his ear, Su Yu, what's going on? That's what you saw, Su Yu said happily. You dare to trick me? Huamin was furious. It's precisely because I'm serious that I brought my entire family here to propose marriage. If I was playing with you, would I need to use my old man? Do you think anyone can meet my grandfather? Su Yu wasn't boasting. Old Master Su's military rank was so high that even the high officials would tremble when they saw him. The Su family had been able to stand strong all these years because there were too many people in the family who had joined the military and held important positions in the government. What's more, the Su family had never been involved in scheming wars. The old man had dedicated his entire life to the country, so he was full of righteousness and spoke with confidence. When Huamin heard that it was really Su Yu's grandfather, he almost went crazy. She didn't know how high Su Yu's grandfather's military rank was. However, she had long heard rumors that Su Yu's grandfather often held meetings in the capital. He was an old leader who was with the big shots every day. He wasn't someone ordinary people could afford to look up to. Lady Su took out a red bag. It was quite big. She placed it in her arms, opened it, and took out the items one by one. In-law, I've prepared a dragon and phoenix bracelet, a necklace, and a phoenix coronet. These were all prepared for you a long time ago. Now that you're here to propose marriage, I'll put them on and give them to Mian. I'll be happy if the 2 of them are happy. Looking at the Su family's lineup, Yang Meirong was a little confused and didn't know what to say. Yang Meirong glanced at her daughter. Huamin was still scolding Su Yu. However, to everyone, it looked more like they were whispering to each other intimately. Ahem, Mian. Yang Meirong coughed lightly and called out to Huamin. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.